bet at 55% odds, and as your win probability changes, so does the value of your bet, giving you the ability to cash out with total control. And the best part, no spinning wheels. Live bets on Sporttrade are instantly accepted. Download Sporttrade on your iPhone today and use code 1580 to earn 10% cash back on every bet in your first week. Terms apply.
Sporttrade is regulated by the Arizona Department of Gaming. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh cracked American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the second bite is like fresh cracked American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the third bite, you get the idea. The boss of breakfast burritos, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
I'm Angela Gonzalez, reporting from Phoenix. We're talking with the community about Phoenix Police Department. Ma'am, what do you think?
Oh, I love them. They're our local heroes. We've had some problems around here with break-ins and people using drugs on the streets. The police work with our community to have a presence in our neighborhood and keep our streets safe.
Thank you, Phoenix Police.
Gracias a la Policía de Phoenix.
Thank you, Phoenix Police.
Rise to serve. Find more today at joinphxpd.com. Protect and serve with the elite.
Sponsored by the City of Phoenix.
It's fall football season, and Kasai Japanese Steakhouse is doubling down, now with 2 Valley locations. When it comes to Asian cuisine, no one does it better and more authentic than Kasai, where talented teppanyaki chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse isn't just dinner, it's dinnertainment. A memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is prepared right at your table with flair. It's a perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always on fire and offered daily with specials on their Asian-inspired comfort food like Korean steak tacos, Mongolian barbecue ribs, and signature Wagyu beef sliders. Always a memorable dinner, or catch the game and a bite at the bar at Kasai. Now the 2 locations, Scottsdale Road in Thunderbird and in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppen.com. That's KASAI Teppen.com, or search Kasai on your mobile phone.
Championship weekend is coming back to the desert. 4 title races in 3 days means there will be a buzz in the air all weekend long. NASCAR Championship Weekend at Phoenix Raceway, November 8th through the 10th. Get your tickets now at PhoenixRaceway.com.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
All right, people, settle down.
Because it's time.
Time for what?
Showtime.
When does it start?
Right now. 3, 2, 1.
Let's get on with the show. Let's do it.
And welcome to the Daily Blender. You're listening to 1580 Fanatic, broadcasting live from the Harmon Solar Studios. I'm obviously sitting in the big boy chair once again, and Randy White, he's out. We know the situation. He explained it yesterday on the show, so we won't relitigate all of that. So I am joined by everybody's favorite co-host, host of the Weekend Warriors Football Edition, Ralph Romano. Ralph, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm missing something audio-wise from you, Ralph.
Uh-oh.
Let's see if I get no, I got you. I just heard you bump
got
your
me?
mic. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know what happened there, but glad we got everything back on track fairly quickly.
That was good.
This is the day after a game that once again just shows that I know nothing about the NFL. Every single Thursday, I have picked one Thursday correctly since the entire season has begun. That's just not the day that I'm getting the picks. We're tied, Ralph, but not because of Thursday picks. I can tell you that.
Well, you know what happened is I told you yesterday I wanted Atlanta, right? I didn't go back in and change my pick because I had originally picked Tampa.
You chose Tampa.
I forgot to change the pick, and then I was like, oh my gosh. And here I am pulling for Atlanta the whole time.
The whole time, you're actually right. but you didn't put it in the picks. Oh boy, that
was miserable.
Oh yeah, you've got to be absolutely sick there.
But that game was what we thought it was, right? We knew either team could win.
Yeah, it was a very close game. It's a divisional matchup. It's the NFC South. They're very familiar with each other.
Yeah.
And it was back and forth. And we'll get into the details of that there. The text line, by the way, 888-368-1580. On the text line, Bat Flipper says, "You are missing the mute button for Ralph." I'm not missing the mute button. I'm not muting Ralph, you guys. I'm not muting Ralph. I know that some of you would like that.
And if you're online right now, here you go.
Yeah, if you're watching the YouTube, Ralph is showing you his LA Dodgers hoodie. He's showing you the LA logo. To make somebody mad.
I just want you all to eat it.
Well, there are some people who probably be happy to see that.
Yeah,
we've got some Dodger fans on the text line as well. But let's just jump into this game because it was a really good game, back and forth. High scoring. We go to overtime. There's the drama. Kirk Cousins has got the theatrics, and it was insanely fun to watch. And one of the reasons why I picked the Buccaneers going into that game was because I did have question marks about the Falcons and the weapons that were there. Not can they perform, but can they start to finally click with Kirk Cousins? Because it just hadn't happened yet to that point. And I wanted to see it first before I really believed in it and put faith in it. And like you said, we knew this was going to be a close football game going in. So I gave the edge to the Buccaneers. And then Kirk Cousins found a connection with every receiver on the roster, it felt like. Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts probably had the best game he's had as an NFL player. All of it happened last night. Kirk Cousins dealing the rock, 509 yards, 4 touchdowns, just 1 interception. He was going crazy.
500 yards. That's crazy.
That's absurd. I actually saw the fantasy. I got a league on the ESPN fantasy app, so it scored a little differently than the one we're using on NFL. He had 78 points on the ESPN one, which I know that in that league that I'm in, the touchdowns are juiced a little bit. So the 4 touchdowns obviously does a lot. But good Lord, 500 yards for anybody is an incredible, incredible day, to the point where Baker actually had a solid day, and it looks like he didn't do anything. Baker had 180 yards, 3 touchdowns, protected the football, no picks, and also did some damage on the ground. We got a rushing Baker Mayfield, 42 yards, which puts him right there with some of his running backs that night. And it doesn't matter.
I don't think anybody on the Premier League had Kirk Cousins.
I don't think so either.
No, nobody.
Because Kirk was just having an average go of it. Just a solid run, but nothing crazy.
Oh, I have him on the bench.
Oh no. That's the worst place to find him.
55 points on the bench.
Yeah, no.
But how do you start him, right? You can't
you
start
can't.
him over Mahomes.
Yeah, you got Mahomes. Yeah, there's no way. It's just one of those, you know that you shouldn't start him, but boy, you wish you had.
50, man, I'm upset again. This game just kicked my butt 2 ways now.
Yeah. First, you didn't change your pick from Tampa to Atlanta, and now 55-point Kirk Cousins game from your bench. Insane.
We should have a rule on that. I should get some of that. That's just wrong. Oh, gosh. 55.
55. Yeah, no, there's got to be. This is why I like best ball leagues. It starts whoever has your highest point total. So all you have to do is draft the team well.
Yeah.
And then whoever is on your bench that has the best day. So you would have had the 55 points in the event that Mahomes doesn't do something absurd on Sunday, which there's no guarantee that won't happen.
Right.
But it's unlikely because a 500-yard day with 4 touchdowns is just a rare NFL performance. And I think that I'm actually finally tired of watching these NFL broadcasts where I hear constantly Kirk Cousins can't win in prime time. I think we can put that one to bed. Kirk Cousins has done more than enough in prime time at this point. When you look at the numbers that he's got on Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football and Sunday Night Football, like going back a couple of years now, Kirk Cousins is doing really, really damn well for himself.
You know what makes me feel good is Jeffrey had Cade Otton from Tampa Bay. He started him at tight end instead of Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, well, again, this is another thing like with your Kirk Cousins. You wouldn't start him over Mahomes. The way Kyle Pitts has been playing this season, Kyle had nothing last week.
Yeah.
Goose egg.
No,
There's no way you could have started him over Cade Otton. Even Scott Engel, the fantasy football king, joins the show yesterday and says, "Hey, if you need, someone in a pinch, Cade Otton's getting a lot of work. He's doing really well. You can go ahead and in a league where tight ends are being inconsistent, Cade Otton's been one of the better guys there. So I think that you have to give him some slack there, but that hurts him. He's just sitting there looking at the guy he drafted, hoping that guy will actually show up on the field, and then you finally give up on him, and that's the week he decides to go off.
It's always that way.
Yeah. That's fantasy football in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and take a look at the text line because we're starting to see some of those texts rolling right on in. Fish Tank has something to say about your attire, Ralph. He says, "I am watching the YouTube, and Ralph, that blue looks hideous on you."
You love it, Fish Tank, and you want one of these. Don't give me that.
No, I think he likes that Atlanta blue. I think the Fish Tank doesn't want anything to do with your Dodger blue in any way. Mr. Wilbur says Kirk Cousins is the Carmelo Anthony of the NFL.
Wow.
Great stats, tons of points and yardage, but no significant victories to show. I mean, yeah, but sometimes that's just timing. That's just a little bit of luck. That's just, the way your career goes. I don't know. Kirk has the stats, but this is a team game. If you've got the stats, what's missing from the rest of the things going on? It's not like Kirk Cousins would be better if he played worse. I mean, I don't know what you want from the guy. He's doing the best that he can do. Yep. It's just, when you talk about winning in the postseason and you judge him by that standard, yeah, he does come up short. But that's a lot of quarterbacks, man, because it's a team game. You can't just have great stats. I think it's a little harsh to say that because Carmelo Anthony is the best player on a team, but he has so much more influence over the way a game flows. Basketball and football are just very different games, is what I'm trying to say, Mr. Wilbur. T-Licious says, best part of last night was watching watching that Hodges reaction in the post game. Love it.
I didn't see that.
I don't think I saw that. What happened, T-Licious? Let us know. Fill us in. Baker's Cocky Hen says, holding calls in the NFL are getting ridiculous. Also, Drake London looks like one of, if not the best receivers in the league, if he can stay healthy. And that's a very big if, Baker's Cocky Hens, because Drake London had himself a performance last night. Yeah. And this is the Drake London that we thought we were going to see a year ago. And this is the Falcons kind of just the way that they are. They have drafted a number of very talented football players, or whether you're talking about Drake London or Kyle Pitts or Bijan Robinson. And it just feels like we don't necessarily get the best of those performances every single week. And in the case of Kyle Pitts and in the case of Bijan, it feels like most weeks we don't get their very, very best. And so you go out there and see the big Drake London game, see the big Kyle Pitts game finally. Yeah, that's a pretty nice outing. And I got to tell you, he does look like one of the best. He looks like a top 5 guy when he's healthy. I mean, he had that catch, maybe 5 yards short of the goal line where most players getting tackled there go down. They get tackled, and he powered through 3 defenders and pulled himself into the end zone.
Don't you feel like, I don't know, like Bijan Robinson, right? I feel like they don't use him the way they should.
They don't.
He's just not having, like this year, I mean, if you look at his stats, they're not very good. They're just not using him.
It just feels like they're afraid to just give him the football and let him run between the tackles and let him get 4 yards, 5 yards, 3 yards until he finally has that breakaway. Because when you look at Bijan in high school, because he played here in Arizona, he was in Tucson, and then you look at him in college playing at Texas, that's how they used him. They let him kind of sledgehammer a defense, and then when the defense was getting worn down, you'd see in a way kind of similar to Derrick Henry, though not exactly, that breakaway run, that big game sealing run. And then, the race is on at that point for a guy like Bijan Robinson. It feels like they want to use him like he's DeAndre Swift or Reggie Bush or something like that. It's a very weird dynamic with him.
I mean, 12 carries, 61 yards. So he's getting 5 an average, right? But it's like, is Kirk Cousins going to throw 58 balls a game now? Is this what their offense is?
Yeah, well, your offense can't be that because I know that Kirk's got the reconstructed Achilles and it looks so much better. But the fact of the matter is that at his age, 58 pass attempts a game, that's not sustainable. You will absolutely wear him out before you even get to your bye week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I watched, like, I had Bijan on my fantasy last year, and I just saw this constantly where they didn't know like how to use them, and it's like I feel like they're doing the same thing again. It's like I don't know. I guess we'll see how the season goes. He doesn't even have a 100-yard game yet. We're 5 games in.
Yeah, and a lot of running backs have gotten, if not that, very, very close. And Bijan really hasn't. And you know the talent is there because you see it. So I don't know what what Zach Robinson is doing. Zach Robinson, of course, being the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know what the idea is there. But if you're moving on from Arthur Smith, who was not using Bijan properly,
right,
and you hire another guy who's not using Bijan properly, maybe look into that. Baker's Cocky Hens also says Atlanta play calling was horrible last night, running Algier on 1st and 10 with just over 2.5 minutes left. Then again in OT, they run him on 1st. Kirk Cousins saved them. Well, Kirk and those receivers saved them. Absolutely. It was one of those games where sometimes you have a quarterback who's playing the game at such a high level that even when you're wrong, he makes you right. And, you know, a guy like Mahomes or Allen will make that happen more often than a guy like Kirk Cousins will. But Kirk has some of those nights, and last night was one of them. The Chosen One says, best ball takes the skill of coaching. You can get lucky drafting, but it takes skill to start the right players. And I don't know. It does take skill, but there's a little bit of luck involved too. Yeah. Like with Ralph. Like, there is no skill in starting Patrick Mahomes over Kirk Cousins. You're supposed to do that. Every week you're supposed to do that. Knowing that Kirk Cousins could do this, I don't know what skill outside of you're just a big Kirk Cousins fan that would have given you. I have no idea.
Right.
Prison Wallet says, I feel like we got robbed, Keon. Why did we get robbed? Why did we get robbed? Is it the some of the bad calls last night? Look, that's just part of football, man. And you got to accept it because the officiating in this league is not getting any better. And us complaining about it, we'll keep complaining about it because you have to bring it up. Someone's got to keep being the squeaky wheel on that, I guess.
It's getting worse.
But it's really bad. It's really bad. It is getting worse. And the whole holding in particular, because it just seems so much more inconsistent and so much more subjective, where you just have officials calling guys for holding and you're like, come on, that's not a hold. That wouldn't have been a hold in any other game.
Holding is inconsistent. Pass interference is inconsistent. And the new illegal formation is very inconsistent.
Yeah. And I mean, like you even look at that week 1 where the Ravens were playing the Chiefs, that illegal formation, the Chiefs had one lineup in the same formation that the Ravens did. The Ravens got flagged for it twice. The Chiefs didn't get flagged for it at all. Like, that's the stuff that just has to go away. Like, you can't have that in the National Football League, a sport where, need I remind you, we are getting more sports betting. We're getting more money poured in through fantasy football as well. You got to clean that up because there's just too much money on the line there. CK says, Ralphie, Padres in 4. Suck it, Ralph.
You wish.
So,
even with our lack of starters, that ain't happening.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Bring on those Padres. Smack them back. Can't wait to beat those jerk-offs.
Yeah. So T-Licious says he got emotional, especially when London praised him. It was a genuine moment. Man, I got to go back and check that out, T-Licious. Yeah. Baker's Cocky Hens also says, I remember when Baker and Hodge were both Browns and they worked together. I also remember when Deshaun Watson was going to Atlanta, then out of nowhere, the Browns made one of the worst decisions of many horrible decisions in my lifetime, as the Browns are known to do. The Browns, I mean, you could point to 12.5 bad decisions. That's how you wind up being the Browns for as long as the Browns have been whatever that is. CK says Bijan had 2 big drops at the end of that game. I wonder if his workload will be slightly reduced. And it depends, because there are some coaches where that absolutely does it. You know, you have a couple of those drops and they'll take you down a notch or two. But again, like, Bijan does have hands. Bijan can catch the football. He can damage people in space. Just take the football and put it between his numbers and ask him to go run upfield. I'm telling you, that'll work a whole lot better than trying to throw the ball to Bijan and ask him to be a wide receiver, which is something he's capable of. But I don't know. He just seems like his confidence is getting killed every single week I see him. And I want better for that guy.
Well, he's not allowed to get into the game, right? He doesn't get those carries to get himself going so that by the second half he just takes over. That's not there. It's just not.
Yeah.
You can't do that on 10 carries a game.
And then, I know that Algier's been doing an all right job, but the love affair with Tyler Algier is killing me.
Yeah.
It's just he's not an explosive guy.
Mm-hmm.
So when I don't remember who brought it up earlier, but when you run him on 1st and 10 in overtime, you're just what are you attempting to accomplish there? If you're going to run the football at that stage in the game, it should be somebody who's going to get you 4 to 5 yards. So now you're second and medium, second and very, very manageable with a very open playbook and a defense that can't just tee off on you. But that's what the Falcons are right now. So I don't know what else to tell you except for I'm really disappointed. He's a former Longhorn and I'm a Longhorn fan. So I want to see better for the guy in the league. And it hasn't exactly worked out just yet. Harry Soap says Atlanta's kicker is the Falcons MVP so far. Last 2 weeks, he won a game and then kept them from the loss last night.
He also missed a couple kicks last night.
He did. He missed a 41-yarder earlier. I can't remember what the second one was.
Yeah, they both weren't that long.
Yeah. The 41-yarder is that's very much an expectation of an NFL kicker that you make that more often than you don't. And he missed 2 of them in one game. However, I do think you have to give him credit. He knocked down the 52-yarder when it mattered a lot and gave them the opportunity to still win the game anyway. And of course, the 58-yarder the week before to really ice it is
that's a stretch for him too. He doesn't have that big leg.
I guess he does. I would not
for that moment. I mean, that 51-yarder yesterday barely went through.
Yeah. Like that's not usually what he's about, but clearly he's been doing some work to add some distance to those kicks because good Lord, I didn't know he had that. I mean, if you remember the story of Younghoe Koo, I think he was a trick shot kicker that the Falcons signed kind of just to give an opportunity. And then he just was more accurate than the guys they had in the building. He takes the job. Younghoe Koo never gives it back. And now he's adding distance to that. That's
cool.
Very, very cool. So no, he's been the MVP. It's insane. Oh my God. Baker's cocky heads. He said Younghoe Koo's been taking Enzyte. So
wow.
Yeah. All right. I tried to avoid all the words that would have made that joke possible, and you went there anyway. T-Licious, 2498. 2498. Finally choosing a texter nickname. He says, I see you too, baby. Call me Bronco Bully. And Bijan has all the talent you could ask for, but that low usage rate, especially in the second half of games, is a problem. So I'll go ahead and get you in the text line there.
Bronco Bully?
Bronco Bully. What?
Are you a Broncos fan or?
Maybe.
Are you a bully and you beat up horses? What's the deal?
I have no idea, but I don't ever question it when someone shows up with their own texter nickname. I mean, it's just that it happens very rarely. But no, we're very curious. Why Bronco Bully? Bronco Bully. And then T-Licious, CK, you're on the text line. I see you. And we'll get back to you guys on the other side here on 1580, The Fanatic.
This is Brent Musburger's Action Update on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Get insights into the sports betting market with VSiN's betting splits. See where the money is and keep updated on how the market is reacting. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
College football coming up on Saturday. Arizona State will be home in Tempe as they take on the Kansas Jayhawks. The Sun Devils are 3-1, while Kansas, who started the season in the AP Top 25, are now at 1-4. The Sun Devils favored by 2.5 points at home, minus 135 on the money line. The Jayhawks getting 2.5 points, plus 115 on the money line, with an over-under total of 50.5. The Arizona Wildcats will be home in Tucson. They'll take on Texas Tech. Arizona a 6.5 point home favorite, minus 250, while the Red Raiders plus 210 at an over-under of 64.5. I'm Tony Desiri with your VSiN Action Update on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Hey, football fans, Michael Vick here. I had an advantage. My legs were a weapon. 6,109 rushing yards, still unbeaten records. That's why I bet at BetUS.com. They offer American sports bettors an advantage. The industry's biggest bonus, a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. And get expert picks and predictions on their very own BetUS TV. Take advantage. Join me online at BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. BetUS, where the game begins.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GAME to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GAME for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code GAME for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Everybody's got a podcast these days. Comedy, politics, true crime, you name it. But how many actually teach you anything useful? Harmon Solar has an entertaining podcast that is vital if you've been thinking about looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Ralph and Ben explore the intricacies of utilities, equipment, processes, and more. Their primary objective is to educate and empower you to make informed decisions on your solar journey. So increase your knowledge, not your bills. Go check it out right now. It's the Harmon Solar Podcast at harmonsolar.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here, host of You Better You Bet, reminding you to check out the show. Now, why should you check out You Better You Bet? Because we bring you the most fun. We bring you the most insightful, the most entertaining show in the wagertainment world. From up-to-the-minute breakdowns of backdoor covers, bad beats, and the cheers and tears that come alongside them. Plus, you'll get the best betting analysis anywhere from myself, Ken Barkley, and some of the best minds in the sports wagering world. So tune in weekdays, noon to 3 on Arizona's sports betting station, 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic.
So here we are, the day after week 5, the NFL getting a start there, and boy, a lot to be excited about. That game was thrilling last night, and we talked about Kirk Cousins. He was out there dealing. We talked about Younghoe Koo and how impressive he's been over the last couple of weeks. T-Licious says the 54-yarder he attempted, by the way, got blocked, and that is the other kick that he missed. And of course, you know, the 54 yards is nothing to sniff at. That's a very long kick. But, you know, when you talk about a kicker's ability to kick the ball far, getting that angle and that distance to get it over the line, that's part of it. And so I have to go back and watch it. I couldn't tell you if that was on Koo not getting enough lift that the ball got blocked, or if that was just, you know, the Buccaneers just being dominant on special teams, which they've been very impressive on special teams this year as well.
You ever watch the way he sets up for kicks? It's not your typical setup. He does it a little different. He kind of gets more behind the ball than he does to the side of the ball. You know how most kickers go behind and then they go to the left?
Yeah.
This guy really doesn't do that. He's more like behind it and just drives through it. It's a little different, right?
It is a little different.
It's not as exaggerated as the other guys. And it's like, that's interesting. I mean, everybody's different, but he's extremely different than a lot of people.
Yeah. And I don't know exactly what his background is, but because he didn't grow up, you know, in a football system that way,
right?
I wonder if that has the impact on that, where he's just not following all the quote unquote rules because he never really learned them that way.
Right. I mean, and that game last night, that's the kind of game the NFL needs on a Thursday night. That's a football game. And that's the kind of stuff you want to watch.
That's the stuff you want to watch. And look, there's no guarantee that some of these are going to be good games, but they have tried to cram every year. It's more divisional games on Thursday, more divisional games, because those are the games where you're more likely to get these kinds of outcomes.
Yeah. You throw the record out in those games. It doesn't matter. They're division rivals. Anything can happen.
it's just, they've got to figure out which division games to avoid.
I
Nobody
mean, even
wants
the Cardinals can win a game. It's a miracle, right? So you got to, you throw everything out. Sorry, Randy.
Randy's not even here. He's catching straight from Ralph. But yeah, no, like it is that. And when you look at something like, the divisional games we've had on Thursday Night Football in the past, it always feels like it's the discount divisional game. Like that we've got a divisional game this Sunday that feels like it would have fit in the past Thursday Night Football games, Miami and New England. Like that's a game that's horrific right now. Even if the Dolphins were healthy, that would have been a bad game. It would have been lopsided. Now we're just watching two teams that can't score. At least that game is on Sunday, but it just feels like in previous years, that was the Thursday night matchup where you go, yeah, it's a divisional game, but come on, guys. Like these are the two worst teams. You get, Commanders, Giants. The Commanders this year, obviously doing much better, but last year, that was a horrible game.
Like next Thursday, you've got Seattle, San Francisco. That's a good game.
That's a really good game. And I think that's what Amazon has really made a push to do, is to try and get the better divisional matchups in games. And the result is, I think we're getting better Thursday night games slowly but surely. Now, do I like to see the divisional games be games played on short weeks and all of that stuff, considering how important they are and what that means to your ability to make it into the playoffs? Not really, not thrilled about that, but I understand why they're doing it, because, I mean, for Amazon to get anything out of that, they needed some games that were actually good quality football games on TV. Yeah. We just weren't getting it before.
The next few are not that good, though. We'll have to see.
We'll have to see. We'll take it 1 week at a time, and we'll worry about Seattle and San Fran this Thursday. Enjoy that while it's there, and then
enjoy watching the Seahawks pound those helpless little Niners.
Oh boy, I'm sure the Niner fans are about to jump on the text line and say,
"Jump on if you can." I know you're all hurt too, just like the teams.
Boy, that 2-2 is
it's a lucky 2-2.
It's a lucky 2-2.
It's a lucky 2-2. They should be 1-3 or 0-4.
That 2-2 has really made some Niner fans very, very quiet. We haven't seen them as loud as they have been before, because I don't want to say front runners, but it does feel like that on the text line.
You know what it is they can hear McCaffrey's tendons kind of tearing as every time he walks.
Oh no.
So they know that guy's probably gone for the year, and they don't know what they're going to do without him, because they know they can't win anything without him. So
I don't think they're going to let you get away with that. So anyway, 888-368-1580, direct all of your anger towards Ralph. Walter Mellon on the text line says, I noticed that too last night, Ralph. It looks like he crowds the ball compared to other kickers.
Yeah, exactly. It's really different.
Yeah,
but it works.
I mean, you see it because you're a baseball guy. You see it with pitching sometimes, where maybe a guy doesn't have, he didn't play little league, or he started pitching maybe a little bit later, so he's got a little unconventional to the way that he throws the ball, and so you end up seeing some very interesting deliveries in Major League Baseball from guys that maybe didn't get into Major League Baseball or didn't get into baseball in your standard way. It's kind of interesting.
I'm assuming kicking is probably like pitching in a sense. In pitching, you teach 4 basic moves, and then everything else around it's noise, right? Which is where you get all this weirdness. I don't care how weird you are, as long as you're doing the basic 4 things. And maybe in kicking, there's a few basic things you got to make sure you do. And however you get there, as long as it doesn't hurt your accuracy. And whatever he's doing is working. So he's accurate for the most part.
For the most part, yeah. And there's obviously going to be some hiccups, but that's just football. It happens from time to time. So obviously, if you have any more thoughts on the game, we'd love to hear them. That's the text line, 888-368-1580. But we are moving on, because that wasn't the only thing that happened last night. We had some Major League Baseball going on, and Pete Alonso and the New York Mets, in dramatic fashion, move on from the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, I just need to point out, I'm not saying that it's going to happen this year, but lately we have had a run of teams beat the Brewers and go to the World Series. What are the chances for the Mets there, do you think, Ralph?
Yeah, I'd say slim to none. I don't see that happening. I don't see them getting past the Phillies, to be honest with you. I think that was a cool game. It was a cool win, and made the King very happy, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
I know he was stressing yesterday.
He was stressing during the game, and we were in like inning 2.
Yeah, remember that. I think the Brewers are one of those teams that look really good during the season. They just have this way of just they get nailed right in the playoffs. They just don't know how to get to that next level. I mean, they've had some good teams over the last 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And they just can't get past that 1 or 2 rounds.
And it's a shame because you'd have to think if they could do it, they could have more than a good chance of going to the World Series, only because the last 4 years, the team that has beaten them has gone to the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, right? The Mets could go on a run. I mean, it happened. Look at the Diamondbacks last year.
Diamondbacks.
Were they the best team in the National League? Absolutely not. But they got to the World Series. I mean, you don't have to be the best team to get there. You just have to get on a run and get hot. And right now, the Mets, they're looking pretty hot right now.
They're looking pretty hot, and you know, I this is my personal opinion on this. I wonder what you think. But I think that, you know, the baseball season, the Major League Baseball season, is a marathon. Then you get to the playoffs, and that's a sprint. And that's just a different skill set entirely. And so the teams that earn their way into the playoffs don't necessarily have the ability to make that translate into the into winning in the playoffs, because your sample size is just so much smaller.
Well, I think a couple of things happen. I think number one, like you just said, a lot of those teams get there and it's just like we got there, right? So now we can relax, which is the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. Number one. I think number two is the playoffs. It's just a different game. It's about pitching matchups, because now you're not going to see all these other teams with this bad pitching. You're going to see the top 2 or 3 starters from the teams that you play. And then you're going to see other starters used in middle relief, and then the solid bullpens used. It changes the game, which is why you start seeing lower scored games in the playoffs, because it becomes more of a strategy thing. It's top pitchers going against top hitters, and there's a lot of strategy involved. It's a very, very different atmosphere and different game in the playoffs versus the regular season. It just is.
Yeah. T-Licious, by the way, finally taking the San Francisco 49ers bait that you put out there.
Oh, good.
Says, like I said, the Niners will be first in the division next Thursday. The Fighting Osprey are 0-1 versus the only good team that they've played.
Who was the only good team they played?
The Lions, I think.
Was that it? Yeah.
Yeah. There's some cream puffs on the Seahawks.
They got 2 losses. Didn't they lose to the Rams? The depleted Ram team? Oh, yeah, they did. They lost to a depleted Ram team. Are you going to talk when you lost to the Rams? And you beat the Cardinals? Give me a break.
Oh, boy. Well, they haven't beaten the Cardinals yet. That game is still.
I'll tell you what.
Still to be determined. Look,
if they don't, he better just block them at that point.
I'm not. I mean, I don't want to block him, because then how are you supposed?
I'll block him.
How are you supposed to gloat if they don't?
I just want to punish them.
Isn't that punishment enough? If you're the Niners with all the expectations they had at the beginning of this season, and you somehow start 2-3, isn't that punishment enough?
No, you need more. He's a Niner fan. He deserves a lot more than
that. CK said, "Hey, guys, did you hear that? I think that's the sound of Detroit still scoring again on that Swiss cheese Seattle defense."
There was 6 starters out. I'm not gonna make excuses, but I am. Take 6 starters out of any defense and tell me how you do. I mean, that's just how it is. I'm more excited about that offense.
Yeah. CK had an earlier text, by the way, that said, also, it was crazy to see the Chiefs left tackle put a rear naked choke on a Chargers edge rusher. The ref reached to throw a flag, then saw the yardage the Chiefs got and put the flag back in his pocket.
I saw that.
Chief script show. And look, I don't buy the script angle of it, but do I think that the NFL officials massage the books a little bit? Yeah, I do. I think it's a fairly undeniable thing going on right now, which is that if it's close, they help out Kansas City, and that you can.
But they've done this in the history of football.
Yeah,
I can go back.
It's been the Patriots too. I mean,
you want to talk Super Bowl 48? You want to.
Yeah, they've
Super
assisted.
Bowl 40,
the Steelers have gotten more than their fair share of assistance.
Go back and watch Super Bowl 40.
I think that the Seahawks and the Cardinals have an axe to grind with certain things going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowls.
I mean, when the officials are pulling for Jerome Bettis to get a ring, and there's nothing you can do to stop that, what are you supposed to do? Especially when they come out 10 years later and say, "Yeah, we kind of messed that up." Yeah, no kidding, dude. No kidding. He had no right winning that game. But whatever.
None whatsoever.
Got outplayed by that Seahawks team.
Oh, by the way, CK coming back at you again to say, "Oh, there were starters out." Anyway, Gibbs just scored another touchdown. So that's going to be the comeback, I think, for everything think as
We'll-
far
we'll-
as CK's
We'll
concerned.
talk to him Monday and see how he's feeling when he's 2-3.
Oh boy.
And
Oh.
Seattle wins again. And Seattle's 4-1.
I don't think that Ralph would ever be as happy for a Cardinals victory as if they were to do it Sunday.
I am pulling for the Cardinals. I want the Cardinals to win.
And not just for Randy White being our guy.
I would like to say it was because of Randy White, but it has
But it has
nothing to do with him.
do with
It's
Randy.
purely selfish reasons.
Oh no.
Because this way we're going to be 4-1 after we stomp the Giants, and then you could be 2-3 and you can cry in the corner.
Oh boy.
And we
So-
could both look at the MRI of Christian McCaffrey together and go, "Oh, that's a shame."
Oh boy.
You got
This
1 year
is-
out of him. Good job.
This is getting mean. Crackalakin says Niner fans will chime in as soon as they got their phones back when their bail cleared. So I think Crackalakin's on your side. That would
I
be
like
my guess there. Golden Domer says, doesn't Seattle play in the CFL?
Oh, jeez. He's a Golden Domer. What does he know? He's a Notre Dame fan.
Oh boy.
We don't want to talk about them and their loss to USC this year.
I can
go everywhere.
You're crossing multiple sports with
We can
people
go
right now.
everywhere.
I mean, you were going to Fish Tank, you're going to Golden Domer, college football. Where every Niner fan is on the text line right now. Bat
Golden
Flipper says
Doomer.
Purdy, Warner, Bosa, Williams, and 2 offensive weapons to be healthy is all we need. Super Bowl or bust. Something no other team in our division can say.
You'll be picking top 10 this year. That's all I'm going to say. No, it's true. They're going to just implode this year.
I don't think that that's going to happen. But
They're
yeah,
gonna
no,
implode.
if you're a Niner fan and you wanted Kyle Shanahan gone, there's
Yeah, you have the opportunity.
there's a way for that to happen. I don't think you want to see it happen that way, but there's a way for that to happen. Bronco Bully says the explanation on the name is that he's a Broncos fan,
Okay.
and it's a terrible Clint Eastwood Western comedy called Bronco Billy.
No.
And I'm a country boy and a bully, so Bronco Bully.
Okay.
Understandable. That's a really good nickname origin. There are so many people that we have to, they text in. They're not exactly sure what their text or nickname is going to be. There's lots of options. It's kind of overwhelming. And then we help them out by getting some of their interests together. And here comes Bronco Bully. He had all of that lined up, ready to go.
That's good.
Walter Mellon says, I think I'm on to Ralph. I'm starting to understand why he likes so many teams. He can go cross-platform and talk trash to anybody, but he's doing it across sports.
And I stay consistent with my teams. I mean, I don't sit there and just keep adding teams. So that's incorrect. And I can go across sports. That's not a problem.
That is clearly not a problem. As
Whatever sport
demonstrated.
you want to go to, we
Yeah,
can go.
I mean, Golden Domers.
Golden Doomers, a Notre Dame fan.
Yeah,
and-
the Notre Dame Fighting Irish caught a stray for no reason whatsoever. Prison Wallet says, "Can I tell you the origin story of my nickname?"
Oh no,
You don't have to, Prison Wallet. I have a good guess.
I'd like to hear it.
I genuinely would not. See, because Ralph can say that because he's not sitting in front of the text line. So now I have to be the one to actually read the damn thing. We know what a prison wallet is, and if you don't, look, that's between you, Google, and your internet service
I have no
provider.
idea what that is.
You really?
No, I really
I
don't.
would say incognito mode and just Google. I don't think that I need to be the person to see that for you to learn something new. Niner Napolis says, to be fair, Ralph,
Here we go.
you mentioned the starters out. So do you factor in no CMC, no Debo, no Ayuk,
Yeah.
no Trent Williams? We destroyed the Jets and Pats as we should and gave up late wins against surprisingly hot teams in the Vikings and the Rams. Loss late was unacceptable. It's not easy with championship aspirations every year. You wouldn't understand.
No, I do understand that because all my teams win championships. I
You
get
know,
that.
Ralph's a Dodger fan. So I think at least he has at least one team
Dodgers,
where he
Lakers. I mean, we can go down the road. I totally understand that. And yeah, I factor that in. And my point to you guys is CMC has been tainted goods his whole career. You got him healthy for 1 year. Congratulations. Yay for you. That's over. And now you're going to get what CMC is a guy that's never going to be healthy. And this is just what it is. And without him, you guys are mortal. Brock Purdy becomes mortal. Your whole offense becomes mortal. You're not the same team. He's that good and that special. So I think you had your window. It is now shut in your face, and enjoy it.
So I hope that clears things up. Minneapolis. Just know that I didn't say that. I am not.
Keon actually typed that out for me.
I just wrote the script out, just like
Yeah, he
the NFL writers.
I appreciate that.
Bat Flipper says Ralph is going to need to help the Seahawks get Warner's foot out of their ass next week. So, okay,
Would that be Kurt Warner or who is that? Because the real Kurt Warner was a Seahawk. We all know that.
Boy. So we got the Ralph Niner fan Cold War becoming a very hot war right in front of our face right now.
Let's go.
CK with an insult that we'll get to on the other side of the break because we're late. But the Niner fans continue. They're not going to take that line down, Ralph. So that's going to be happening all show.
Bring it.
You're listening to the Daily Blender on 1580 The Fanatic.
Hi, guys. Jeffrey O'Brien here. Have you ever gone to HarmonSolar.com? Well, you really need to, because everything you ever wanted to know about how solar power can save you big on your monthly electric bill is right there. It's online. Through your phone or through your computer, you can learn about tax credits, the equipment they use, look at how they do things for businesses as well as homeowners, see testimonials from happy customers, and I hear they got a pretty good podcast, too. Check it out. Go to HarmonSolar.com. That's HarmonSolar.com.
Hey, football fans, Michael Vick here. They say I transformed the quarterback position. The fastest ever, the strongest arm, the most rushing yards. They call me a game changer. I say BetUS.com changed the sports betting game. It started 30 years ago with the industry's biggest bonuses, and they haven't stopped. This football season, get a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Join me at BetUS Online Sportsbook and Casino, BetUS, where the game begins.
Customize and save hundreds on car insurance with Liberty Mutual. After that, you can also save me, as I'm currently hanging from the edge of a cliff. To recap, number 1, customize and save. Number 2, time allowing, save me. Shoulders separating.
Only pay for what you need at LibertyMutual.com. Savings may vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
In most countries of the world, Forte means door. United Forte Custom Doors, located in the Scottsdale Airport Design District, is now open with over 40,000 European doors, all in stock, ready for delivery, and at wholesale prices. Designers, contractors, builders, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Forte, Porte. Stop by to see and feel the quality at United Forte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code QUICK to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code QUICK for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code QUICK for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
It's fall football season, and Kasai Japanese Steakhouse is doubling down. Now with 2 Valley locations. When it comes to Asian cuisine, no one does it better and more authentic than Kasai, where talented Teppan chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse isn't just dinner, it's dinnertainment. A memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is prepared right at your table with flair. It's a perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always on fire and offered daily with specials on their Asian-inspired comfort food like Korean steak tacos, Mongolian barbecue ribs, and signature Wagyu beef sliders. Always a memorable dinner, or catch the game in a bite at the bar at Kasai. Now with 2 locations, Scottsdale Road in Thunderbird and in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppan.com. That's Kasai Teppan.com, or search Kasai on your mobile phone.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
The Daily Blender here on 1580 The Fanatic, broadcasting live from the Harmon Solar Studios. Bat Flipper taking some time away from insulting Ralph to hit us with some breaking news. Joe Musgrove out for the playoffs. Will need Tommy John surgery. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, Ralph, how big is that?
That is huge. That is bigger than my ego. Unbelievable.
That's a pretty big
That's
ego.
yeah. No, that really is. That's big news. Man, I hate hearing that because number one, I hate hearing all these UCLs that are just going this year. There's been so many of
there's
them
been
this
a
year.
bunch of them.
They've got to do something about that pitch clock. I think that's contributing to this. There's no doubt in my mind. It's forcing guys into the wrong situations as far as their motion and their mechanics. That's just horrible news. I want to see them at full strength when they lose to the Dodgers. I don't want to see them having anybody go down. So that's a shame. Big deal.
Yeah, and as a fan of baseball, it just you want to see the best players out there. Like my team's not in it, so I just want to see good ball. And he's one of the best guys doing it, and well, he's not going to be doing it this postseason.
I mean, you put the whole season in, you work to get there, and then this happens. That just sucks.
Yeah, and also the thing that also sucks about it too is the timing. You tear your UCL at the beginning of the season, it sucks. It sucks no matter when it happens, but you can get ready to go for next year. You just go, okay, this season just didn't work out. You have to get Tommy John surgery right now. I know that they've gotten better with these surgeries. Guys are able to come back. They're able to pitch with either the same or greater velocity than when they got injured, but you're now missing next season essentially. Because there's no clear timetable, at least not yet from what I've seen, on when he'll be back.
Yeah, I mean, what they do now when they do the surgery is they put this material in there that kind of acts as a almost like a sleeve over the UCL, and it actually strengthens it. It's interesting because like Ohtani got it done like that. He was one of the few ones that got it done like that. And he's actually, his arm's stronger since, he's saying. He's actually able to throw pretty hard. But yeah, this is a big blow because now their rotation, you've got Dylan Cease, so good thing you made that trade, and you got Yu Darvish, and that's kind of where it stops. So you're missing that number 3 guy now.
Yeah,
that's a big blow.
Yeah,
big blow,
and especially when you're about to start a series, and the series is it's best of 5. So
I mean, for the Dodgers, that's good news, right? They don't got to see him now. I mean, I'm not worried about Cease, and I'm really not worried about Darvish. I mean, so
yeah, Darvish can be up and down, but
yeah,
man,
he's really good or really bad. And the Dodgers seem to have his number. Dylan Cease is strong. He's probably the best pitcher they have now left in the rotation. But the Dodgers did move what is his name? Yamamoto to pitch game 1 versus Dylan Cease. So that's going to be an interesting matchup in game 1. But now if you go 5 games, you're really missing Musgrove. That hurts.
Yeah.
Let me cry a tear real quick. Okay, I'm done.
just
no, I feel bad for him. All garbage aside. I mean, that's a horrible thing.
Yeah. When let's see here, the Moist One said that Michael King just had one of the best postseason starts. Haha.
Yeah, they're going to need him now.
Yeah, like you what you hope is that you can continue that with him, and I think he probably can, but there's no replacing a Joe Musgrove in a rotation. Like you went from a team that could legitimately have a stake to going to the World Series. Like, yeah, you have to go through the Dodgers, but like that's a possible thing. Like that was something that was very doable, and it still is. But now you're shorthanded, and that continues. Even if you were to get past the Dodgers and move on, you still have to go past other teams now who are going to hit the ball really well, and like you said, pitching in the playoffs matters a ton.
Well, it's like we were saying before, right? In the playoffs, you have to have those 3 solid arms, right? And then everything else works around it. You just lost one of your solid arms. That's a big blow. So it's gonna play a factor in this series, and if they move past it, the next series definitely. So yeah, it's a big loss.
It's absolutely massive. So we're looking at we're looking at 4 games starting up tomorrow.
Yep.
We've got the Tigers and the Guardians starting at 10 in the morning our time, and then we've got the Mets and the Phillies starting at 1 in the morning our time, and then Saturday 3:30 we've got Royals Yankees, and then you can finish your full day of baseball with Padres visiting the Dodgers. And as we were just talking about, that series is a very, very, very different series right now as a direct result of that. Let me get back to some of these texts here, where we still have angry Niner fans. They're not letting this one go. CK says, when I think prison wallet, I think of Ralph's face. So there's that.
Again, I don't know what prison wallet means.
Yeah,
so
okay. So
does nothing to me.
You don't really have to educate yourself on it. I would recommend that nobody do that. But I also recommend that nobody send anything to the text line to do that to me because I will block you. I will straight up block your ass. I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
T-Licious says Jeffrey can reinstate you when he comes back in 2 weeks. But until then, I wouldn't play that game. T-Licious says, it's okay, Ralph. Ralph is used to watching his teams flame out. And you will get a full dose coming up. And your tears will be delicious.
It's a little sick, but okay.
It's a little twisted.
It's kind of twisted. I kind of like it, to be honest with you. It's pretty good text.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. There's some texts that come in on the text line, and I'm like, what? Man, I wish I thought of that first.
Yeah, like the creativity.
Yeah. So let's take a look at Major League Baseball a little bit and just like kind of go through some of these series and see where you think we wind up, because we've got obviously Tigers Guardians starting tomorrow. Where do you think we wind up with that series? Because the Tigers seem to be incredibly hot right now, but the Guardians are playing at home for a reason in this series, and that's because they were really good this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Guardians have been steady all season, right? I mean, they've been that steady team in that division, but you just said it. The Tigers right now are on fire. And this is one of those teams that can wind up slipping in like the Diamondbacks did this year, the last year. This team kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And if I'm the Guardians, I'm a little nervous because I kind of think the Tigers are going to get past them. I really do. I like the Tigers in this series. I think they can win this in 4. It could go 5, but I think they have enough to win it in 4. I would not be surprised to see the Tigers just knock them out.
What is it about the Tigers that has them playing baseball this well?
It's everything, though, man. Right? I mean, have you been watching them? The pitching has been dead on. I always get his name wrong, but their number one guy,
Tariq Skubal.
Skubal, yeah. That guy's lights out. He's been lights out. I mean, I wish the Dodgers could have got him in a trade. They tried hard, but they wouldn't let him go.
Yeah, and I think that's smart.
Well, they thought about it. They almost let him go because they were thinking they were out of the playoff picture, and then they just got hot.
And how many times have we seen that? A team that was they're just on the edge of it or just on the verge, and then they start selling because they think they're out of it. And this is one reason why you got to be very careful when you start selling around the trade deadline, because you might just sell yourself out of the opportunity the Tigers have right now.
Right. If they would have gotten rid of him, they're not where they are right now. So that was a big move to not make that move. And I just think right now, if you watch them, their hitting is very timely. Their pitching is solid. Starting pitching has been solid. The bullpen's been good. They're doing everything they need to do. They're a dangerous team. If I'm the Yankees, because I think the Yankees move on too, I think I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, I think that's very concerning. And obviously we talked about it earlier. Like the playoffs are a sprint, not a marathon. So if you're hot right now, that's all that kind of matters. Like it's very, what have you done for me lately in the postseason? And lately, boy, the Tigers have absolutely been dealing. Well, let's skip over the Mets and Phillies really quickly. We'll get back to them, but get to the Royals and Yankees, because you mentioned the Royals and Yankees. And that you think the Yankees will be moving on. Obviously, I think it's pretty obvious why the Yankees are that team that you think will be moving on. They're just loaded with talent. They've spent so much money, and every year they just seem to stack the deck a little bit more. They're kind of like the Dodgers in that way, where it's like, look, we've got the money. Why don't we just spend it and see if we can get what we can get? And it's working out for the Yankees this season. Do you think this is the season where the Yankees finally get over the hill and, actually give themselves a legitimate World Series chance to win?
I mean, I honestly think the Yankees come out of the American League. I do. And I'm not a Yankee fan at all. I hate the Yankees.
I hate the Yankees too, but
they are loaded top to bottom.
If they won the World Series, like in previous years, it just never felt serious to me. I don't know. I just never like it. They had all the talent and all the money, but it just seemed like they put the money in the wrong place. You're paying guys like Giancarlo Stanton to strike out a bunch, and it just felt like they never really constructed the team well. This team feels very well put together.
They really do. I guess I might be a little biased because the idea of a Dodger-Yankee World Series to me is just like the epitome of what baseball is to see those two teams.
Yeah, and Rob Manfred is I mean, the guy can't wait. He'd love to see that nothing would be better for the game of baseball financially right now than Dodgers-Yankees.
The Royals won't be easy, they are playing pretty good ball right now too. So just to say that, it's not going to be. I don't think it'll be a cakewalk. It might actually go 5 games. But I think the Yankees will get past the Royals. But then I think the Tigers will be sitting there waiting for them, and I think they got to be careful. They could be the Diamondbacks of this year, so you got to watch that out. But I think ultimately they should pass them.
Or the Rangers of this year. So you remember the Rangers.
Oh yeah, the Rangers. Yeah.
The Rangers got incredibly hot on their way into the postseason last year too. Lots of text coming in on the text line. We'll get back to that. We'll get back to some of these playoff previews for Major League Baseball, college football stuff coming up next. Hour number 2 of the Daily Blender next.
After 3 years of legalized sports betting, something completely new is now live in Arizona. Dylan Cohen from Beat the Book here, and I'd like to introduce you to SportTrade. SportTrade is the first sports betting app that gives you the option to see the odds expressed as probabilities, and it's going to change in-game betting forever. If it's easier to understand 52% probability of winning versus minus 108 odds, SportTrade is your new home. With this percent odds feature, cashing out now makes much more sense. As the win probability changes, so does the value of your bet. Even if you're an experienced bettor and you prefer American odds, you'll love seeing odds closer to minus 106 versus the normal minus 110 offered just about everywhere else, coupled with near instant in-play betting. No more spinny wheels. Download SportTrade on your iPhone today to see the difference and beat the book. Use promo code 1580 to earn 10% cash back on every bet you place in your first week. Terms apply.
SportTrade is regulated by the Arizona Department of Gaming. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
You may know me as Ruben Gallego, but I've had a lot of titles over the years. First, son, or mijo, by my single immigrant mom who worked so hard to make ends meet, and brother, by my 3 incredible sisters. I've been called janitor, line cook, construction worker, doing any job I could to help out since we didn't have much. I earned the title graduate from Harvard University. I was called infantryman in the Marines when my company took some of the heaviest losses in Iraq. I'm called congressman, proudly representing Arizona the past 10 years. But my favorite title of all is dad to my 2 beautiful kids whose future I'm fighting for every day. That's why today, my title is candidate for Senate and fighting to lower costs and secure our border. I'm Ruben Gallego, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message because for me, it's never been about titles. It's about standing up for hardworking Arizonans like you.
Paid for by Gallego for Arizona.
Mommy, want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
All right, people, settle down.
Because it's time
for what?
Showtime.
When does it start?
Right now. 3, 2, 1.
Let's get on with the show. Let's do it.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Daily Blender here on 1580 The Fanatic, broadcasting live from a very sunny Scottsdale today. When is it not? Which is, at this point, it's kind of redundant to say it every day. It gets cloudy once or twice a year, maybe. But anywho, we've got a whole lot to get to. We were talking Major League Baseball playoffs, and we've got some texts coming in about that. One that I think is really interesting and somewhat funny. The other one, me and Fish Tank about to have a conversation about how much we're going to vomit this weekend watching the Mets and the Phillies, I'm sure. We are broadcasting live from the Harmon Solar Studios, and you're on the text line at 888-368-1580. By the way, and I forgot to mention this earlier in the show, just completely blanked on it. I have ASU tickets to give away. I need to figure out how I'm going to give them away. There are 4 tickets and a parking pass. And sometimes we split that, but we're not going to split that this time. We're actually going to give away all 4 tickets because that's what Radio Ron wants. So that's what Radio Ron gets. So just keep an ear out for that we're giving away the ASU Kansas tickets this weekend. Very winnable game for ASU. And I've been out to the stadium this season so far, caught a really good game against Wyoming, the first game of the season. And it was really fun. The fans were absolutely hyped that day, and it's good seats. We've got good seats when we give them away. So keep an ear out for that. And when I figure out how I'm going to give these tickets away, probably via phone, if I'm honest, we're going to do phone call probably. Be ready to call in and get a chance to win those tickets. So
can I decide who gets them?
Can you decide who gets them? I don't think that would be very fair.
I think it would because I'll just take them.
Yeah, I guess you'll just have them. No, I gotta give them away. Gotta give them away.
You really don't.
If you'd asked Radio Ron first before I said that, then you might have had the tickets. It's not
hey,
up
Ron,
to
can I have them? Too late.
Yeah, we've already put it out there now. Hefty Lefty says elite high school punter Mike Stanton, which I didn't know this. I had to Google this during the break. Giancarlo Stanton was a punter in high school, and people thought he was a really good punter, and that's what he was going to be.
Giancarlo Stanton went to my high school.
Really?
Yeah, he went to Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks, California.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm very familiar with him, Mr. Stanton.
With Mike Stanton.
He was an absolute stud in high school.
Wow.
Yeah. Absolute stud.
Look at that. We got a Ralph fun fact today.
Yeah.
Big George dropping in on the text line. Hello, gentlemen. Happy Friday. TGIF. Well.
Oh, just block him.
The Padres are about to open up a can of whoop ass on the Dodgers. Dave Roberts is also mismanaging his rotation by moving Yamamoto to game 1 and Flaherty to game 2. Dave Roberts is preparing his Dodgers for another first-round exit. You love to see it.
Oh, my gosh. Where'd you pull that out of? I can tell you where you pulled it out of, but anyway. Go watch the Diamondback game. Oh, yeah, there's nothing to watch.
There's nothing to watch. That's a very easy one, Big George. You set him up for that one.
Yeah.
I can't play defense and help you out there. That you set him up and he knocked them down. Whistling Gerbil says dibs on the tickets. Not how that's going to work, Whistling Gerbil. I don't think you can just call dibs. You can call into the station when I give you the cue, and I'll let you know what caller it is when it's the time, and then you can win some tickets.
No, he can have 2, and I'll take the other 2. I'm good with that, Whistling Gerbil. Done.
2. We can split them. T-licious. I mean, here's Ralph in a week, and then he sent me a GIF of the what is that? Listen, the resolution is very low. T-licious. The text line
kind of like your team performance.
Oh boy. The resolution is very low. I'm seeing a kid in a bunny suit, but I can't make out who that's supposed to be.
Bunny suit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He's got big round glasses. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be from.
Oh, is that from the Christmas Story?
Oh, it is. Okay, yeah, that's it. Guys, if you send gifts to the text line, first off, this is a radio show. Now I have to sit here and describe a GIF, which is already not that interesting on radio. But secondly, they don't always work well. That's really important as a part of this. Bat Flipper says if he was a stud, he probably didn't know you, Ralph. He's talking about Giancarlo Stanton.
Okay.
I don't know, man. Bat Flipper, you can talk a lot of trash about Ralph on a number of different fronts if you want to make fun of the teams and all that. Ralph is very well connected in baseball. I don't know that that's necessarily true.
I actually went to high school with Black Jack McDowell. I don't know if you guys remember who that is. You probably don't, but he was a Cy Young Award winner for the White Sox.
Wow.
So I'm just saying.
What was your school, a baseball factory?
There was quite a few players that came out of there. Yeah. I mean, there was a few, not a factory, but there was definitely a few. I mean, that kid was ridiculous, right? He was just a great quarterback. He was throwing 90, 95 in high school. I mean, he's stupid. He was a great player. And Giancarlo Stanton was just hitting balls onto the freeway. I mean, he's just something else.
I feel like nobody came out of my high school. Like there's nobody I can point to and go, yeah, that's
nothing.
See what we do around here. That's what I'm sure there's somebody, but like,
where did you go to high school?
I went to James Madison High School in San Antonio, Texas.
I would feel that'd be a football school.
there has to have been, and I know that there was a guy that actually did wind up. Malcolm Brown wound up playing at the University of Texas, but he was a third stringer, never really caught on. And hey, look, he had a good time. But as far as like, oh wow, Cy Young Award winners, you've got a guy that is playing for the Yankees right now on a very good, very deep Yankees team. Could be competing for a championship later this year.
Got some other guys too. I think it was Tim Foley that went to there too. There's a few players that came out of that school. Good baseball players. Yeah.
I'm interested. Fourth dimension. Who's the most famous person that came from your high school? There's got to be a few of those.
And we're not talking drug dealers or convicts, Unabomber, nothing like that.
Well, I mean, if it's the Unabomber, that's also interesting.
That's interesting. I guess that is interesting.
but I was thinking more of the sports direction. But yeah, just the most famous person that came from your high school. I'm very curious. If you have a famous drug dealer come from your high school, it better be Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of any other person that makes that interesting enough. So we've got Whistling Gerbil who says deal about the tickets, but that's not Ralph's call to make.
I'm with you, Whistling Gerbil.
They're not Ralph's tickets. They're Radio Ron's tickets that he wants me to give away on his behalf. Like
Keon's just being a mess here. I don't understand.
I don't want to be a mess. I would like to just say, hey, have the tickets, but that's not how Radio Ron wants that to work. So it can't work like that. We're gonna do a phone call. You're gonna call into the show, and then whatever number
you got to call my cell number. I'll answer it, and it'll just happen to be Whistling Gerbil.
Did you just happen to be Whistling Gerbil? I don't think that's how that's going to go. You can call Ralph's cell phone, but Ralph doesn't have the tickets. I have the tickets. So you'll get to talk to a really cool guy. I think Ralph's a really cool guy. That's it.
Stop there.
I don't know what else to tell you. And I don't know how Whistling Gerbil feels about the Dodgers, Seahawks, Lakers, Dodgers.
He doesn't care. He just wants tickets.
He just wants the tickets. He could care less.
Yeah.
CK says, nice. It's only going to be 105 degrees at kickoff. Look, man, you take the little victories where you can. Either you pay to be in 105 degrees at kickoff, or you get the tickets for free and you can be at 105 degrees.
Have you been to a game? The atmosphere there is great.
Yeah,
I was at the Ole Miss game. It was awesome.
And also, our seats are in the shade. By the way, just put that out there. It may be 105 degrees at kickoff, but it's not going to be in the sun. So there's that, CK. If you're interested, if not, you don't have to call. The tickets are free. If you don't want them, you don't have to call in. I promise. Jonesy says the only reason why the Dodgers will have a good playoff run is because the Diamondbacks didn't make the playoffs. You're welcome, LA.
We're welcome. What? Because you guys suck. That makes sense.
No,
Because you couldn't win a game. Oh my gosh.
No. I think the insults are backfiring, guys. This is just a hunch. Big George is back for round 2. He says,
there we go.
Well, like Ralph, I have set myself up for success for cheering for my second team and my wife's favorite team, the San Diego Padres. 3 years in a row, the Dodgers will have lost in the first round by the hands of the Padres and Diamondbacks. History is on our side.
Did you hear about Musgrove, Big George?
Big George, did you hear about Joe Musgrove? We talked about that last hour. Joe Musgrove, UCL tear. He's going to need Tommy John surgery. And of course, that means he's done for the postseason. Does that change your optimism at all, BG? Does it change it a little? Because it would change mine. That guy's really good. He's very important. And he's your
number one pitcher.
He's your number one pitcher. And now number one is Dylan Cease, I guess, which is still, look, you're still doing really well. But Dylan Cease as your 2, that's scary. Dylan Cease as your 1 means that Yu Darvish is now your 2. Look, the whole rotation's all kind of jacked up, Big George. Is the optimism a little bit different for you, or are you just betting against Davey Roberts just to do it? Arrowhead of the class says, Buddy Hield went to my small Christian high school. Surprise Christian Academy. Really?
Buddy Hield.
Does Buddy Hield still play for the Kings? I don't remember. He's in the NBA. I don't remember exactly where he got traded, but I can't remember where off the top of my head where he wound up.
Surprise Christian Academy. That's pretty good.
Is Buddy Hield a Pacer? I think Buddy Hield's a Pacer. But yeah, wow, that's really cool. Also, but man, Buddy Hield when he was in college, God, elite, man. That guy was.
I remember the Collins twins at Crossroads in LA when I was out there.
Really?
Oh yeah, they played together at Crossroads. They were amazing.
Wow. Aiton's Army says Buddy Hield. He's on the Warriors now. Thank you. He's kind of a journeyman now, and he's on my list of, oh, you're here. Like when I turn on the TV and I see him, I'm like, oh, that's where you wound up. Well, yeah, okay. Also, Aiton's Army says Desert Mountain High School We got Merrill Kelly, Mark Andrews, Kyle Allen, and Keaton Slovis. That
Wow.
okay.
That's legit.
I think we have a winner. I think Aiton's Army just won the imaginary contest that we had going on there. Jonesy says also the Jags wide receiver Christian Kirk came from my elementary school, if that counts. That's still interesting. I mean, high school's more interesting, but that's still interesting. Hometown hero. Shout out to Sandpiper Elementary.
Jeez.
That's a deep cut.
Now we're getting elementary sound out. It's awesome.
I've heard one. Prison wallet. I did see your incredibly graphic and detailed description of what a prison wallet is. I will not be reading that on the air, but thanks for sending that to me, I guess. Nice. He also says, I'm an extremely humble 49er fan and have been since the 80s. I'm also very realistic. You're not doing so good this year, but I definitely want them to beat the Cardinals. And so, yeah, I mean, you know.
See, I'll take a fan like that all day long.
Yeah, I mean, look, those are the best fans to interact with. I just think that my overwhelming experience with 49er fans is that most of them are not prison wallet. It's weird because, like, when I was living out in the East Coast, there's a whole perception of how different fans on the West are. And the perception was always like Raider fans are the meanest people. And then I came out here, the nicest people to me so far have been Raider fans. It's very odd. Granted, I mean, like, obviously you go to the game, that's a different experience. So I'm just talking about you meet them at bars, you just run into people. Like, Raider fans have just been nice, loud, very, very loud, but nice. And like then the Niner fans have just been brutal, man. Like, they see you, if you're playing the Niners, your team, and they see you in that team's gear, you're gonna hear it from the other side of the bar or the restaurant or whatever for all 60 minutes of that football game.
You know what's amazing is that most of them are like that. When's the last time they actually won a title?
Oh boy.
No, really, like 90s?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's been a minute.
I mean, it's been a huge minute. It's been a cowboy minute, you know? I mean,
it's been closer to an hour at this point. But yeah, I get
I don't get that. I don't get it. You can get there and lose. That's fantastic. I'd rather just not get there. But I mean, I don't know what you're excited about, but whatever.
Yeah. Whistling Gerbil says Raiders, Lakers, Dodgers. Those are his teams, and a West Virginia fan due to a friend coaching there. Gino's good in my book. So that's how you have Whistling Gerbil. Basically, there is no beef with Whistling Gerbil.
I like that guy.
Yeah, like you guys get along pretty well.
Yeah.
Harry Soap says, I went to high school in Richmond, California, as did former St. Louis Cardinals MVP Willie McGee.
Yep.
Who also went to Harry Ellis High. So that's really cool.
Willie McGee.
I didn't know how many of these answers were going to be this awesome, but keep sending them in. I'm fascinated by this. Cool. CK says, I think Buddy is a warrior. Yeah, Aiton's Army helped me figure that out because sometimes the NBA offseason gets fired up, and I'm not going to lie to you. There are role players, they move, and I have no clue. I start doing my research for the NBA season like the week before the season starts. I don't even think about the NBA a lot of the time when we're off season because I'm a Wizards fan.
You're starting to think about it now, though, aren't you?
Just a little. Just a
Yeah.
little, yeah. I mean, we're at that point now where it's we're so close to having the NBA back, and I'm very interested in what Coach Bud is going to do with the Suns in terms of changing that offense and making it more dynamic, more fun to watch. I'm interested in all of that, and like the Wizards are going to be bad again, but they've got a lot of young players that I'm actually excited to watch. So this is not a team that's stuck in neutral. The Wizards at least know what direction they're going in, and hopefully the direction is now up. Chief Skull says, Derek Steffen, formerly of the Arizona Coyotes, and Craig Kilborn, former ESPN sports anchor. Yeah, I remember Craig. And Ben Utecht, tight end for the Colts, all went to my high school. Wow. That's you know what? You're right up there with Aiton's Army in terms of just like the number of people who've come out of that high school that have gone on to just do great things. That's pretty cool. Big George says the most famous celebrity to come out of my high school is none other than the GOAT, Jeffrey O'Brien. We went to the same high school, Mountain View in Mesa, different graduating years. He was 85, I was 03. So we just missed each other.
I heard they separated themselves from Jeffrey O'Brien, didn't they? Didn't they put a statement out about him being there?
I heard nothing about that.
I did. I heard about it. They wanted to separate themselves. And I don't blame them one bit.
I heard nothing of the sort. Nothing of the sort. Anyway.
True.
He said, we also had Jimmy Eat World go to my high school, Dallas Cowboys quarterback Danny White, and Shea Hildenbrand, also the former Cardinals quarterback Max Hall. That's pretty fun. That's another good one. That's another group of people. I'm gonna have to Google in the commercial break and figure out who came from my high school because I just don't remember, and it's nothing we ever made a big deal about while I was there. Aiton's Army says, if there's any Chaparral High School or Saguaro High School alumni listening that knows those schools better, they have some pros too. Yeah, I'm just listening to some high school football and getting into that in this area because I used to cover high school football back when I was out in Georgia. There's the children of stars that are out here playing, kind of crazy. It's I think Larry Fitzgerald's kids playing out here too. Like there's a lot of talented football players that are playing out here in Arizona right now. Arizona football is heading up in the right direction. Prison Wallet says, I'm not going to try to talk bleep to Ralph. I'm pretty good at it, but not when it comes to sports. Hey, look, sometimes you got to stay in your lane. If you're not a trash talker, you don't have to. Nothing says that that's the way you have to enjoy sports there. But look, you're going to do it the way you do it. And if you win, you win. That's the best trash talking right there. If your team is able to get healthy and handle business. Golden Domer says, Kurt Schilling and Mike Bibby, go Matadors. That's like my childhood, Golden Domer. That is those are the two of the most influential people in my childhood growing up because Mike Bibby was so good. And I don't know why, but when we were kids, we all liked Mike Bibby. And then of course, Kurt Schilling.
I don't want to toot my horn, but my high school has a page dedicated to all the famous people and football players and baseball that went to their school. It's a list of 30 people. So
yeah,
remember Justin Fargas, running back?
Yeah,
Nick Folk, Tim Foley.
Nick Folk.
Right?
There's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Kyle Forbath, remember him?
Yeah,
those are all guys from this. I can keep going and going. The list.
Yeah,
the guy that played Rami Malek, the guy that played Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
He went to that school.
He's also in a really good show called Mr. Robot. That's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
CK says, Jesus, Keon, most Niner fans I know aren't like that. What slum are you going to? Must be Ralph's house. There are no Niner fans in Ralph's house because Ralph's a Seahawks fan.
That's right.
And also, I went to the Zips on Mill in Tempe. That's not a slum. There's a bunch of people there. No, I didn't go to some hole in the wall. I went to the Zips in Tempe. I no longer go there because I just don't live around there anymore. But yeah, when I lived really close there, that's where I was going, man. Maybe I've got the Niner fans all wrong, but I'm just saying every week it was like a Niner fan just trolling some poor guy across, literally yelling at him across the bar. It was wild. Last text I'm going to read, and then I gotta head to a break and come back because we've just got a full text line. The high school question went way crazier than I thought it would, but I absolutely appreciate it. Horn Ninja says, hey, fellas, I went to De La Salle in Concord, California. Oh. We had NFL players Amani Toomer and Pocket Hercules, Maurice Jones-Drew.
That was a great program. It still is.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows about De La Salle. I was in Georgia covering high school football out there, and everybody was like, man, you hear about that kid coming from De La Salle? And you're like, which one?
Yeah, exactly. People hated that program.
Now that's a factory.
Yep.
De La Salle High School is a factory. And I think that I can't remember which Arizona school is going out there to play.
Oh, really?
Play this week. I don't know if they're going out to play or if they've already gone and played. But yeah, this season, I know that there's going to be an Arizona school going out there to play.
Yeah. You talk De La Salle, that's like talking about Loyola or Mater Dei. Or Gorman up in Vegas. Those are just great programs.
Those are factories, absolutely. Yeah. So Beer Bob, Jonesy, Hefty Lefty, Prison Wallet, Fish Tank, the Moist One. We'll get to your questions on the other side, or not your questions, but your answers to the question of who's the most famous person that came out of your high school. And I'll see if anybody worth anything came out of my high school. My guess is there has to be because we were pretty good at football while I was there. There's got to be some person, I assume. Also me, but that's a little self-aggrandizing.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
I don't mind. You're listening to the Daily Blender here on 1580 The Fanatic.
It's fall football on the Fanatic. Catch all the live game play-by-play. Monday night, Thursday night, and Sunday day and night NFL games, plus the Saturday NCAA football game of the week. It's all right here on the Valley's home for football. 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic. Brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. And the second bite is like fresh American cheese sauce. And the third bite, you get the idea. The boss of breakfast burritos, gotta be Wendy's.
Participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
The road to better health leads to my longtime friends, Dr. William Gaspar and his wife Ava at Beehive IV Wellness in Chandler. J.D. Hayworth here, and the buzz about Beehive is spelled out in its middle name. IV. Not only are today's popular treatments available, IV hydration, joint injections, semaglutide for weight loss, as well as many more, it's also the Gaspar's holistic naturopathic approach that helps your body with self-healing. That means treating the underlying causes of chronic disease, from chronic fatigue to fibromyalgia, even those dealing with Lyme disease and lupus. The experienced medical staff designs a customized plan for each patient. So walk in or make an appointment today. Mention my name, J.D. Hayworth. Get half off your first treatment. Better health awaits you at Beehive IV Wellness in Chandler. Search Beehive IV Wellness on your cell phone. And remember, you'll thrive at Beehive.
Hey, son, what you doing?
Looking around for jobs, offices, 9 to 5. I don't want anything boring.
You know, Brian's son is in the Phoenix Police Academy. Pretty sure he's not bored.
I never thought of that.
Check out joinphxpd.com and take a look.
Over 80 specialty details like detective and canine handler. What else? Dignitary protection, 911 operator? They have aviation and dive team jobs?
Rise to serve. Find more today at joinphxpd.com. Protect and serve with the elite.
Sponsored by the City of Phoenix.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Ken Barkley here, reminding you to check out You Better You Bet. Why, you ask? Well, because we bring the fun, the insight, and all the wagertainment you need. Plus, hopefully, we win a couple bets along the way. From up-to-the-minute breakdowns of backdoor covers, bad beats, and the cheers and tears that come with them, obviously. Plus, betting analysis from some of the best minds in the sports wagering world. Join myself and Nick Costos and tune into You Better You Bet. Weekdays from noon to 3 on Arizona's sports betting station 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic.
So the text line on fire as I asked the question, who's the most famous person that came out of your high school? And we got some really great answers. You know, somebody went to De La Salle High School, which obviously you're going to produce a lot of talent. I think you're being very humble by only naming 2 people that came out of that school.
Yeah.
There's a lot more talent that came out of De La Salle, but yeah, okay, you could go with the 2 biggest ones. That's fair. And then, you know, we got Aiton's Army had a bunch of people. There's a lot of schools in Arizona that produce a lot of famous people. It doesn't have to be an athlete, but obviously the athletes are a big part of it. I Googled my own high school, James Madison High School in San Antonio, Texas, and I totally forgot. Jeff Foster, who used to play for the Indiana Pacers, played basketball at James Madison High School. Also, Vincent Taylor, who currently plays for the Falcons. He played last night. Vincent Taylor graduated from my high school apparently 5 years after I was there. Wow. So I didn't even know that because I was done following that school at that point because we moved and I was already in a different state and all that. But yeah, wow. So I have a couple. I got a couple. Whereas Beer Bob decided to take this opportunity to shoot a stray at the entire city of Seattle. He said, nobody famous came out of my high school, but I grew up in Seattle. And nothing good is in Seattle.
Come on, somebody famous came from your high school.
There has to be. Beer Bob, where did you go to high school? There has to be. That nobody, like, unless your high school was brand new when you got there, and even then that's tough. Just on probability, there had to have been someone.
Here, I'm going to add one for you because this guy, I forgot about this guy that came out of my high school. Hunter Green from the Reds. He came from my high school. Number 1 pick.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I think your high school was, in fact, a factory, a baseball factory. It had to be.
There's probably, I was looking, there's probably about 13 NFL players. There's probably about 10 to 12 Major League Baseball players. There's a lot of guys that come out of there. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, granted, I'll also, too, like when you talk about California, Texas, Florida, like there's a lot of great athletic talent that comes out of those states.
Yeah.
So you go to a high school in one of those states, chances are you did go to high school with somebody that did something in a major league in sports somewhere.
Of course. Yeah.
How could you not? Hefty Lefty says top people out of my high school were Bruce and Clay Matthews. Wow.
Oh,
wow. One of the members of Van Halen, and Olympic figure skater Mirai Nigasu. Wow.
So you went to school in the LA area then? No, I think that's because I think the Matthews brothers came out of LA because they played at SC. I thought they came out of LA, and Van Halen was out of LA. So I'd be curious to see what school you went to.
Yeah. And he also says, Ralph, how bad did you hate Crespi?
Yeah, so you're from LA. I hated Crespi. That was our arch rival with Notre Dame Crespi. Yeah, absolutely. So I know you're an LA guy. Where'd you go to school?
Yeah, we'll wait patiently for that answer. Meanwhile, Prison Wallet says that he went to Apollo High School, and yeah, okay, Apollo High School's got a very strong argument right now with Prince Amukamara.
Okay.
Yeah, Super Bowl champion, cornerback for the Bears at the peak. Promise Amukamara, who is Prince's sister, and also an Olympian. She was over there, playing basketball for, I believe, Nigeria in this past Olympics. So that was really cool. Bob Horner.
From the Braves?
Yeah. Bob Horner, Paul Loduca.
Yeah.
And JJ Yele.
Wow.
Yeah. So not bad for the Prison Wallet there, the Apollo High School. You're kind of loaded there. The Amukamaras are tipping the scale single-handedly. That whole family is athletic, by the way. There's more Amukamaras, I think, and they're all just insanely good athletes. Fish Tank says, he said like a while ago, true or false, we will see 3 of the 4 teams that got a bye get eliminated in their first round. Does that feel possible to you, Ralph?
3 of the 4 teams that got a bye?
3 out of the 4.
Let's think about that.
Just because of we were talking about being hot matters, and if you're on a bye, guess what? You're not.
I mean, the Phillies are they're loaded with their pitching and everything. The Mets don't. I know they're hot, but they don't really have the rotation, in my opinion, to go much farther. I don't see them knocking the Phillies off. Dodgers Padres, it'll be a great series. We'll see. I think losing Musgrove really takes a lot away from the Padres. I think the Dodgers could survive that one, because the Dodgers strategy is going to be they don't have the starting pitching depth that they had at the beginning of the year, but they've got probably the best bullpen in the game, and the hitting's ridiculous. So they're going to be tough to beat. When I look at the other side, you're talking about the Yankees. I don't see them losing to the Royals, and same thing. I just don't. There's no way. I mean, the Royals, they're going to have to rely on their starting pitching to beat the Yankees, and I just don't think it's good enough. And then the other one was the Tigers. Yeah, I think the Tigers are going to knock out the Guardians, so that would be the one that I would see losing. I don't know about 3. I don't see that.
All right. Fish Tank also said, and this one's directed at me, as a fellow National League Easter, how disgusting is it to have to decide whether you want to see the Mets or the Phillies win that series? Can we just root for another hurricane? Now,
wow,
the hurricane was pretty devastating. People lost a lot. But I thought about it. I thought about rooting for a hurricane. Like it just was. I hate those. Are like my least favorite teams in baseball.
But not that hurricane.
Not that hurricane. But those are my least favorite teams in baseball. I don't want either of them to win anything. I have. Like the rest of the National League East, I don't hate to that degree. I mean, the Marlins are the Marlins. They're just hilarious. And then, the Braves, I was in Georgia. Braves fans were always nice to me. I went to a Braves game one time, and I was, all nationaled out. And the Nats were there, and they were winning. And I was being obnoxious. I was being that person. And everybody was just kind, just as gracious as you could possibly ask for. And at that point, I was like, all right, I can't hate Braves fans, and I can't hate the Braves. I don't root for them, but
you got to pick somebody.
You got to.
Who wins? I mean, who are you going to ride? I mean, you got a good team against a team that's got momentum, because on paper this is all Phillies, but you got to pick one.
I got to pick one. I guess I'll pick the Mets. And it's all bias in that pick, by the way, because Bryce Harper's a Philly and I don't want him to have nice things. We won a championship without him. Keep not winning a championship. That's my preference. I guess I'll choose the Mets.
Okay.
It
that'll make
disgusts
Scott
me.
the King happy.
Disgusts me to say it, but I choose the Mets.
Okay.
I don't even think they're going to win, but I still choose. Is Nick Sundberg still the long snapper for the Commandos? He went to North Canyon here with me in North Phoenix.
Oh.
That was Fish Tank's person. And no, Nick Sundberg is not still the long snapper for the Commandos. I actually don't know who it is now, because they drafted a guy. That's right, drafted a guy, and he was a complete bust of a long snapper, because that was what Ron Rivera was doing.
They drafted a long snapper.
Ron named Cameron Cheeseman, if you can believe it. And he was bad. He was like actively terrible. Like, if you have a long snapper and he's any good at his job, you don't even know who he is. Cameron Cheeseman was so bad, the entire fan base was like, we have to cut this guy, because he's actually messing up the entire kicking operation, because he's snapping the ball wide left. Like, what are you doing? We don't have to open that can of worms, Fish Tank. It's real bad. But no, Nick Sundberg not still with the Washington Commanders, unfortunately, because he was really good. The Moist one says, Brock Osweiler from the neighboring town, and of only like 30,000 people in the Valley at the time. Jake Sanderson, defenseman for the Ottawa Senators, was born in the same town as me. So that's pretty cool, man. That's not quite high school, but like if you get someone in the same town, I'll take that. I'll take that as an answer, because that's still like you're in the same vicinity, and I just kind of want to know like what different high schools are producing talent and stuff like that. It's very interesting. Jonesy says Spencer Rattler doesn't count. Absolutely trash attitude. Horizon High alum here, and he also says this response was directed at Aiton's Army, by the way, and he does count.
Counts.
He just because he's not a good person or a nice person. And look, the book is out on Spencer Rattler and like the way he has treated people in the past. And, he had a lot of the talent. So it was very easy for people to look the other way when he was treating people poorly. And then things kind of fell off for him when he got to college at Oklahoma, and he rehabilitated himself now to the point where he is in the NFL. We'll see if he's able to make anything of that opportunity, but he does count.
I mean, didn't he get busted for pot as a senior in high school and got suspended?
Oh, I
kind of remember that.
I don't remember that, actually. I'd have to look that up.
He was kind of a pothead in high school. I kind of remember that.
Yeah, which is, I mean, you
kind of a jerk from what I heard.
I mean, I forget, they had that Netflix documentary on the high school kids, and like the lasting video that's just out there is him just being a complete ass to one of his teammates, and the teammate just trying to say, "Hey, man, you don't have to talk to me like that. That's very disrespectful." And Spencer just being a complete jerk about it. It was hard to watch. And I understand you're a kid then, like there's growing up to do, but Hefty Lefty says, my mom went to Pasadena High School with the Van Halen brothers. Eddie was in a couple of classes with her.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Whistling Gerbil says, don't give away the tickets. Got to step away for a moment, but if we got a deal, and then he sent me his email to send him to. No, we don't have a deal, Whistling Gerbil, because you were making a deal with Ralph, who does not have the tickets. I have the tickets, but here's what I'll do: I'll give it away in the next hour, the second segment of hour 3. So if you're back by then, you've got a shot, but you've got the same shot everybody else has. You're gonna have to call in to the show.
I'll call for you too.
There you go, Ralph. Ralph's got your bag, and see if one of the two of you could be 3, I guess. Elzar of the Mountain says, if everybody is famous for 15 minutes, I'm famous for my high school. I mean, is everyone famous for 15 minutes, Elzar?
No.
I don't think everyone's guaranteed their 15 minutes of fame, but if you get it, then, turn it into something. I got nothing. I've got nothing to add to that. Beer Nut says, home of the Friday Night Lights and Roy Williams. I went to Odessa Permian High School.
Permian.
Permian. Okay. Yeah.
I lived
Get
in
my eyes
Midland,
checked.
Odessa for like 3 years. So yeah, that's that's the whole Friday Night Lights thing is Odessa and Midland, and that is the most amazing thing I ever witnessed was to see these 20,000 seat high school stadiums just constantly full with these kids, and Odessa and Permian Panthers were the team back then, and just that's crazy the talent that was around there. Crazy.
Yeah. Which Roy Williams, by the way, Beer Nuts? Because
wasn't it the receiver from Detroit?
Yeah, Detroit. I think he also played in Dallas a little.
Yeah, I think that's who he's talking about.
Yeah, just double checking because there's the basketball coach. Slow Mo Zoe says Eisenhower High School, Decatur. Bill Maddock is who he went to high school with. Seabass says I went to high school in Dixon, Illinois, same high school that Ronald Reagan went to.
Wow.
All right, you got a president coming out of your school, man.
That's pretty cool.
Charles Rudolph Walgreens, the founder of Walgreens, also went to my high school. I'm more of a CVS guy myself. Over. Now, I'm more CVS too, but that's still impressive. Still impressive. And of course, he created the Nationals logo. The curly W.
Oh.
Every time I see the Nationals logo, I just think of Walgreens.
That's right. Yeah. It does look very similar.
Big George says, "Hey, Keon, I just sent over on this Dayton sports history a little bit ago. Sorry that it's late. Been a busy day at work." And Big George, you don't have to apologize. We were going to have to make it work if you didn't send it, but I appreciate you sending it in. I'll go ahead and pull it up, and we'll have that ready to go for the last segment of the show. Bruno Baller says, I want to see the Dodgers and the Yankees in the World Series. I'm old enough to remember the 1977 and 1978 and the 1981 World Series between the Dodgers and the Yankees, and they were all really great. Included Reggie Jackson, the Reggie Jackson 3 homer game, and Fernando Mania in 81 when the Dodgers actually won.
I prefer the 81 game, so
it would be fun. Like, I understand that, like, the genuine tenor of the Daily Blender is that the Dodgers are a team that are disliked and the Yankees are just outright hated. I absolutely do not like the Yankees. I used to root for the Yankees, and when I turned on them, I turned all the way. And the Dodgers, I have actually no strong opinions on the Dodgers, to be honest, either direction. But I do like good baseball. And Yankees versus Dodgers would be incredibly good.
That
baseball.
would be the offensive matchup would be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nuts. I mean, that's just one of the most
Judge versus Ohtani. That'd be sick.
I mean, how about that? Like, gee, Louise. I mean, it's crazy too, because of just like you could look at the pitching matchups as well and see some really good things there, and just how deep both of those rosters are. And yeah, they spent all of that money, and if they get to the World Series, we're going to see all of that talent. It's not a great thing for parity, but in terms of just, hey, you've got a good quality game here, but you might get 7 of them. I find it hard to believe that wouldn't be fun.
You would have the 2 most talented teams in baseball in the World Series by far.
Yeah, and as much as
that'd be fun.
You can joke about the Yankees buying championships and the Dodgers buying championships. It doesn't always work out that way. Like, having that payroll has not helped the Yankees, the last few years. But they finally put it together this year. So guys, we're up against another break, and we've got more text flooding in. We've got Big George and his Dodgers Yankees hatred, and we'll see how he feels about that. We've got some more people sending in their texts about the high schools that they went to. And a text about the Aaron Hernandez documentary series that's on. I actually have been meaning to watch that, but I haven't seen it yet. So I'm excited to read that text, Bullseye. We'll get to it on the other side. You're listening to the Daily Blender on 1580 The Fanatic.
Hey, sports bettors, Jeffrey O'Brien here to tell you about my favorite sportsbook and casino, and that is BetUS.com. Football's back, so it's time to get in on the action. I endorse one sportsbook and casino, and that is BetUS. If you want a game plan to win this season, then check out BetUS. BetUS went large for you this season with a huge offer, a 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. That's right, a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. BetUS offers value other sportsbooks Sportsbooks simply don't offer. Gamblers insurance, crypto bonuses, and casino bonuses. Plus, they have all the products you need. Competitive odds, parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and prop betting. And when you're ready to lay down your bet, give your bet an edge. Why not combine your sign-up bonus with knowledge? Get that knowledge with expert analysis, picks, and predictions on all major sports on their very own BetUS TV. Get started today at BetUS.com or give them a call at 1-800-MY-BETUS. BetUS, where the game begins.
Mommy, want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey everybody, it's Mark Asher back to tell you about my great friends at the Lund Mortgage Team. Did you know that the Lund Mortgage Team was founded back in 1999? That's right. They're celebrating 25 years in existence this year. And you know what you have to do to stay in business that long? You have to be good at what you do. And the Lund Mortgage Team is not just good, they are great. They have helped thousands of people save thousands of dollars over those 25 years here in the Valley of the Sun. They only lend in Arizona. And they're mortgage brokers, which means they can shop your rate around. They're not tied to just one set of rates. Mortgage rates can get crazy. They can get high. They can get low. There's good times to strike and there's times to stay on the sideline. Let the Lund Mortgage Team be your coach, be your team leader when it comes to these huge decisions. Call 623-875-9940. That's 623-875-9940, or you can always check them out at lundmortgage.com. Great website with all the tools you need. Call them today. They're my great friends, and you'll love them. It's the Lund Mortgage Team.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Your home for sports.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
We're back and we're cruising here on a Friday afternoon on the Daily Blender. I'm Keon Rose. I'm being joined by Ralph Romano. We're talking baseball. We're talking football. We're talking apparently famous people from our high schools, which
this has been a good one.
It's a surprisingly fascinating conversation.
Yeah. I didn't expect it to take off like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't expect it to take off either. I also didn't expect to get answers this great. Like I thought we'd get a couple, but like we've got a bunch of texters who went to high schools with really, really famous people. Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, that's
coming out of a high school. Like, wow, okay, I think you win, to be honest. So Bullseye says on the text line, have you seen the new Aaron Hernandez documentary yet on Hulu? I wouldn't recommend it. The acting is pretty bad. And I don't think it's a documentary. I think it's just a dramatized TV show. They did the American Crime Story series. And I guess this is supposed to be an American sports story, and they're trying to start a new series with that, I guess. I had high hopes for that. So that's really sad to hear that it's not that great, because I know they in the Crime Story they had the People versus O.J. Simpson. That one was really good. The assassination of Gianni Versace, which I liked a lot, and then they had the Bill Clinton impeachment series as well. Like all of those were just really interesting. I thought that the acting in those were really good. So if it's that bad for the sports story,
I saw a clip of it and it did look pretty bad.
Yeah, and I do think and I expected it a little bit, because TV budgets per episode are obviously much smaller than an entire movie budget. Yeah. But some of the football stuff just looked very tacky. And
the guy playing Aaron Hernandez didn't look very good or sound very good.
Sound very good. Or to me,
not good.
He only looks vaguely like Aaron Hernandez. He doesn't really look like him. And if you're not a great actor, that's the only way to pull that off. Yeah. Is to be great to the point where like I forget that you don't look like Aaron Hernandez because you're acting so well. But
I'm probably gonna watch it anyway just because I want to see the story. But
and just to see how they do it. It's got mixed reviews. So just not that we're saying that you're wrong, Bullseye, but like there are people who like it a lot too. So like it's kind of going both ways. Watch it, get your own opinion. Let us know if you've seen it though. That's interesting. Beer Nut says Roy Williams, the wide receiver who went to the University of Texas, the very same.
Yeah.
Well, that's impressive. You get to be the home of Friday Night Lights. You get Roy Williams. That's a pretty cool high school story. CK says, is Big George sending in the teacher lady quote of the day? If not, I have one. Suck it, Ralph.
That's not a teacher lady quote. Come on.
Because she's way too kind for that when she's not being impersonated by Big George.
Yes.
The Fighting Wampa says, no one famous went to my high school, but I did see the movie Lincoln for what it's worth. So,
okay.
Fighting Wampa, what high school did
Where's
you go
that
to?
go?
Those are two very unrelated thoughts, but thanks for texting in.
Yeah.
Big George says, I can't stand the Dodgers and Yankees, but I will admit a Yankees and Dodgers World Series would be an amazing series. Rob Manfred would be super drunk for that post-game trophy ceremony with the monster ratings they would get. He would be drunk for the whole summer after. I mean, he'd be drunk clean into next season.
That'd be big for MLB if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when you look at Major League Baseball, and as much as like I'm a Nationals fan, so I don't have like a blue blood organization or anything like that. But when you look at some of these teams that are really good, that are really making some noise, or you talk about the Tigers, you talk about the Royals being able to get into the postseason. Obviously, the Brewers are in the playoffs every year, but never seem to make a run. They seem to always get stuck in neutral. The fact of the matter is, Major League Baseball functions better. It makes more money. It draws more ratings when the Dodgers and the Yankees are good. Like, that's just a fact.
And it's been 43 years since we've seen them in a series. So
yeah, I think we're long overdue.
So not in your lifetime have you seen that?
No,
that's crazy.
Which is insane to say, because I'm 34, which is like pretty young, but like old enough that you'd think it would have happened one time, like once in 34 years.
They both have been there, but never together.
But never together. And yeah, it's weird because they've been good at roughly the same time.
Yeah.
They just never seem to make it to the World Series at that same time. So Kyle G says, forget the National League, Keon. Cheer for the Tigers. We're like last year's Diamondbacks. Lots of young talent, and that's here too soon. And the true underdogs. And Kyle G, I am, in fact, rooting for the Detroit Tigers. Because I like the underdog story. That's always fun to me. And I also like it when players there's two kinds of underdog story. Like there's the kind of underdog story where it's like you got the guys that are maybe supposed to be too old to be doing this, but for some reason they're doing it. And the other one is when the guys just are too young. I like when the guys are just too young to understand how good they're supposed to be. And they're just playing free, like they just look like they're a bunch of kids having fun out there. Like that just makes me happy to watch baseball. So yeah, Kyle G, I forget the National League. I forgot about the National League specifically about a month and a half ago. Maybe two, when the Nationals were just completely finished and had to close up shop. That's around the time I was done. So yeah, I'm Eisenhower High School, Decatur, Bill Matlock, Hall of Famer.
Wow. Great player.
So yeah, Slow-Mo Zoe getting the correction there, because that's a hell of a difference. The Moist One says, really scraping the barrel here. A famous YouTuber went to my high school. Not much coming out of Northwest Montana, which may be scraping the barrel a little bit, but man, like YouTubers make a boatload of cash these days, and like people really watch them. So I don't even know what to make of that anymore. Like that's just the media world shifting.
It depends who it is. Now, who is?
Yeah,
is it like Mr. Beast or something? I mean, is it?
Yeah, because if it's
huge?
Mr. Beast, then like you should probably have led with that. You'd be burying the lead if you did. Bruno Baller says 40 years ago in 1984, the World Series matchup with the Tigers versus the Padres. Would you be surprised if this year that was the World Series matchup? With what the news we just got this
I'd be very surprised
at the beginning of the show with Joe Musgrove and his torn UCL and him needing Tommy John surgery, that becomes a much more surprising series. I don't think anybody would be surprised to see the Tigers get there, because we've just seen too many teams get red hot in October and find themselves in the World Series. Last year we had two. We had the Diamondbacks, obviously, but we also had the Rangers, who won the whole thing. I don't think it would be that shocking to see the Tigers, but the Padres at this point, maybe a little.
National League's tough. You're going to have to get past the Dodgers, then you got to get past the Phillies probably. That's not an easy task.
No.
That's going to be tough, especially losing Musgrove, like you just said. I mean, That's just not likely going to happen.
Big George, don't. The insulting part that you send the Teacher Lady sports quote of the day from the Teacher Lady text account that you made. I feel insulted when you do that. I will not be reading the Teacher Lady quote of the day because you ruined it. You ruined it. You didn't have to pretend to be a completely different person. I agree with Jeffrey. We're going to take a timeout on the.
I can see him in a dress.
Could you?
I really could.
I really could not.
No,
because
that'd be a long dress.
He's 7 feet tall.
Yeah, it better be long. Otherwise, it's gonna be way too
throw
short.
a sheet over him. He'll be okay. Like that's. I don't think that's really gonna.
Nice.
Because I don't know. Like, how do you get that tailored? I don't know. Like there has to be like 9 or 10 7-foot tall women on the face of the earth. Like there can't be that many. Like even the really tall ones are still just short of 7 feet. So like Brittany Griner's like 6'10". Like that's enormous.
Like a girl,
yeah. So I feel insulted. The fact that you didn't send that quote from your just own text account, you sent that from the fake one you made up. Swave Dave says, no one famous from my high school, but Magic Johnson went to my rival high school. I'll count it. Yeah. That's still impressive. And that means that at some point, Magic Johnson played basketball in your gym.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool, which I think was up in Michigan.
Yep. Probably Lansing,
Probably Lansing. I couldn't tell you which high school because I don't remember off the top of my head, which would make certain family members of mine disappointed because like Magic Johnson was the guy in our family. You just root for Magic Johnson. Yeah, my dad's favorite basketball player was Magic Johnson. And so he's the only person that if I met him, I would just be completely starstruck. I wouldn't know what to say.
To Magic?
To Magic, yeah. Because when that's your dad's favorite player, like I don't even know, man.
Nicest guy in the world.
So I've heard. I mean,
real nice guy.
I'm sure he wouldn't make fun of me embarrassing myself, but like I don't know what I would say to Magic Johnson. Like you were my dad's favorite player. I don't know.
You probably wouldn't want to hear that.
Maybe
that makes him sound old.
Maybe not, but like just.
You were mine and my dad's.
I got into sports because of watching sports with my dad, and so like that just has a lot of weight to me. And I lost my dad kind of early, so it was just like when I think about Magic Johnson, I'm like, man, like that's
cool.
That's like the gold standard of a basketball player to me. Just from my dad would tell me all the stories about Magic Johnson growing up and all the games that he got to see, and
that's cool.
It was cool. The Raven Kid says, as a Red Sox fan and a Padres fan for the postseason, Raven Kid, I think you lose your ability to make fun of Ralph for rooting for multiple teams now.
What's going on?
Because there's a lot of people who have picked up the Padres as a second team here. But he says, nothing would make me more sick than a Yankees-Dodgers World Series. Please, anything but that. And look, I understand, but if you were to just look at the odds of the possible World Series combinations, I think you would find that the Dodgers and the Yankees are actually quite likely, in addition to being something that Major League Baseball would love to see, it also is incredibly probable.
So Raven Kid, if I told you if the Dodgers win the World Series, then the Ravens will win the Super Bowl, would you be okay with that? Would you allow that in your mind to say, I'm okay with the Dodgers winning the World Series if the Ravens win the Super Bowl? What would you do? Let's see what you're early about. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, because everybody's got the one that like, okay, I'll have to give up something. If I had to give up something for like a Commander Super Bowl or something, I'd give up a lot. I'll be honest with you. Booger Wolf, look. You can say all the weird stuff you want to say about various people. Me, Ralph, Jeffrey. Leave Randy alone. Just leave Randy alone. UNLV's passing defense is 80th, and Syracuse can throw the hell out of the ball. Syracuse is plus 200 on the money line. Fellas versus a running team that has a new quarterback. I'm taking Syracuse tonight. That is against the spread, offering some information right there. So whenever against the spread makes a bet, usually so do I. Plus 200 on the money line. That's kind of crazy. I'll be honest with you. Thanks for the heads up on that. Against the spread, always dropping the knowledge. Mr. Pink Eye says, I went to Polk High School. That's where Al Bundy scored 4 touchdowns.
I knew that was coming. That was obvious.
I should have realized where that was headed.
As soon as you said Polk,
as soon as I said Polk High School, I didn't even think about it until I started saying Al Bundy, and I was like, oh no. You set me up for that one, and Well played. Bruno Baller says the Royals and the Phillies could also be a World Series matchup. They matched up in 1980 before, which
MLB would not want that matchup.
Probably not, because I feel like the Phillies would run them over.
And it's a bad matchup too.
Yeah.
Just nationally, it's a bad matchup.
I mean, like, you get the Phillies, nice, but I don't know. That's a tougher one. But, like, it is a historic matchup though. So I mean, if you're just a baseball diehard, it might be fun for you specifically. Big George sending a frowny face as teacher lady again. Big George, why? Why are you doing this? I do not understand this. I just genuinely do not understand this. CK says also, I know what I'd ask Magic. How did you cure it? And the answer to that question, CK, is that HIV is the virus. AIDS is the disease. Right. Magic never had the disease, just the virus. So there you go. The Moist One says, Cease is the ace. Musgrove probably number 2, but Darvish and Michael King are very solid, and the bullpen is stacked. The injury hurts, but I don't think it completely spoils the Padres' chances.
I don't look at Cease as the ace. I think he's the 2 personally, but okay.
All right. Well, we'll see how the series plays out.
Tomato. He still lost a great arm.
Still lost a great arm. That's a good point. And we'll discuss that much more on the other side. Daily Blender, 1580, The Fanatic.
The Fanatic is your home for fall football. Catch the NFL and NCAA live games on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Brought to you by Bet365. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
My pain is considerable, but that prescription is dangerous.
The side effects of my medicine are worse than my condition.
I'm in recovery. I can't take those pills.
When faced with a health crisis, you shouldn't have to choose between risks.
At the Naturopathic Physicians Group in Scottsdale, our medical doctors are experts in full spectrum care using a natural approach. Patients come in for a variety of issues, including joint pain, chronic conditions, and issues specific to men's and women's health. Our naturopathic doctors can restore pain-free joint function and restore balance in immune, digestive, and hormone systems, which often improves immediate physical symptoms without having you take a bunch of pills. If traditional medicines aren't working, don't you think it's time to start feeling like yourself again? Call Naturopathic Physicians Group at 480-451-6161. That's 480-451-6161. Or go to naturopathicgroup.com.
In most countries of the world, Porte means door. United Porte Custom Doors, located in the Scottsdale Airport Design District, is now open with over 40,000 European doors, all in stock, ready for delivery, and at wholesale prices. Designers, contractors, builders, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Porte, Porte. Stop by to see and feel the quality at United Porte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
When life gets overwhelming, but you just don't feel like talking, help is only a text away. Trained and caring crisis specialists are available by text 24/7 to assist with suicidal thoughts, substance use issues, depression, anxiety, and more. You are never alone. When you need help, please text HOPE to 4HOPE. From anywhere in Arizona, text the word HOPE to 44673. This message is sponsored by Solari Crisis and Human Services.
I'm Scarlett Johansson. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals help fuel my love for acting. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
It's time for the third hour.
All right, people, settle down because it's time.
For what? Showtime. When does it start? Right now. 3, 2,
Let's get on with the show. Let's do it.
Welcome back to the Daily Blender. You're listening to 1580 The Fanatic. We're broadcasting live from the Harmon Solar Studios in a slightly less sunny uptown Scottsdale because the sun is setting as we speak. But the conversation continues to roll on. We've been having very, very fun conversations about the Major League Baseball playoffs. We've been talking about the most famous people from our high schools. What would be your ideal World Series matchup? Because the Yankees and the Dodgers very much on the table. There are some fans out there on the text line that we've seen already that would love to have the opportunity to see that World Series, because it's just something that we don't see very often. And it's a matchup between two cities. It's a historic rivalry to, the two biggest cities in our country. It would mean a lot. There are also people who don't want to see it, like the Raven Kid, who answers Ralph's question to say, I think I would be, just because yours is expected, Ralph. I would hate it, but I wouldn't be surprised.
So that didn't really answer the question.
Yeah, I'm trying. I repeat the question, Ralph, so that
would you give letting the Dodgers win a World Series in order for the Ravens to win a Super Bowl if that was guaranteed? So are you willing to say, hey, I'll take my Ravens Super Bowl and let the Dodgers win a World Series? I'm okay with that because I get my Ravens Super Bowl.
And we'll see where your priorities are, though. You are
like,
the Raven
for me,
Kid.
I would rather have a Seahawks Super Bowl than a Dodger trophy. That's just me.
Yeah, I get that. Because it just depends on what your sport priority is, or the sport priority of of your city that you grew up in. Like, you talk about, like where I'm from, Washington, D.C., people love the Nationals there. People love the Capitals there. It would mean everything for the Commanders to win a Super Bowl.
I mean, for pure aggravation factor, I would give it all up for the Lakers win the title, just for pure aggravation factor on this show, because I would never let anyone forget it every day.
The level of salt on this show.
Yeah, it would just be worth every bit of it.
It would be incredible. 1096 says 37% for whiskey tailgate friend in the sport trade win confidence contest. All right, I'll write that down for you. That's a completely different show, but I wanted to let you know, 1096, I got your text. I'll be writing down your percentage for that contest, and we'll see if you've won by Monday. The Raven Kid says, his text just jumped up to the top of the screen there. I was saying I'd be okay with it because yours should have been a lock at the moment you spent $1 billion this offseason. And I've seen my baseball team win more recently than my football team. Because he is a Red Sox fan. So that makes sense. Big George says, Raven Kid is a man after my own heart. Welcome to the Padres fan club, Raven Kid. We have a pretty amazing team for a quarter of the payroll of the Dodgers.
That's going to lose to the Dodgers. Good job.
That's going to lose to the Dodgers. Well, we'll see, right? The game's got to be played on the field. Swave Dave says, Keon, would you say that the coaching staff is the virus for most football teams, but the ownership is the disease? Now we're just getting so abstract with this metaphor that I don't know that I would say that. No, I would say the other way around, actually.
Comparing this to HIV, that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the other way around, though, because like you have bad ownership. That doesn't guarantee that you're going to be bad, but it means it's probably more likely.
Right.
And you're more likely to
highly probable, but
hire bad people. Mm-hmm. And then those bad people we get to see physically, like, I don't know, like some kind of disease. Mm-hmm. Against the Spread says, Magic had Magic Medicine, and bad news, Ralph. San Diego versus LA is a very good matchup for the Padres. San Diego will win that series. All of the pressure is on LA. If the Dodgers got beat by Arizona last year, mathematics say LA loses this year because San Diego is a better team.
I disagree 100%. I mean, so if you look at the matchup, let's look at game one. Let's look at that. You got Dylan Cease against Yamamoto. The Dodgers racked Dylan Cease last week, 5 runs in 5 innings. Dylan Cease, the Dodgers have had his number for a while. It's not concerned about Dylan Cease at all. And Yamamoto is just back from injury. It looks good. Game 2, you got Flaherty, who's been pitching great all season since they've reached out and got him, against Darvish. Darvish is a hit or miss. He hasn't pitched against the Dodgers since May. which he pitched really well. But then in April, the Dodgers racked him. So again, not a great matchup. It's going to come down to this. It's going to come down to the bullpens and the hitting and the offense. Tatis loves Dodger Stadium, hits a lot of home runs there. But other than him, the Dodgers have been really good at keeping them at bay. So it's going to be really interesting, but the Dodgers are deeper in the bullpen, the way better bullpen. And the Dodgers just, I'm going to say it, they've got Ohtani. And Ohtani is a game breaker, game changer, difference maker, period. He just is, because he gets on base, he moves around the bases, and he puts runs across the plate. And you just don't have a guy like that on the other side. It's just, that's the bottom line. And you add Mookie Betts and Freeman, who's going to be fine, and everybody else that they have. I mean, they go down the lineup. The Dodgers just are a better lineup, and it's a tough lineup to go against in a playoff series.
I mean, the Dodgers are loaded.
They're just loaded 1-9. It's sick.
The problem I have with the Dodgers, which is just I think a good problem for the Dodgers, is they have so many good players. I genuinely keep forgetting one person on that team. Where you say Freddie Freeman, I'm like, that's right, they do have Freddie Freeman. I just totally forget that he's there, because he's being overshadowed by his teammates.
I mean, you think about the lineup, right? You got Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Muncy, Will Smith. That's just the first 6 bats you got to face, right? Gavin Lux has been on fire for 2 months. There's bat number 7. And then you can pick and choose the next 2 bats based on who's playing. It's ridiculous. Edman, who's been sick since they traded for him. That lineup is sick up and down. The only weakness they have right now is the starting pitching is hurt, but the guys that they have are good enough to get them to the bullpen, which will take over. And that's going to be how they're going to win the World Series, by getting them 3, 4, 5 innings and then the bullpen just have the game. So that's the strategy. We'll see.
We will see. And I'm excited about this series because I just genuinely don't know what direction we're headed in. But I do think that it's good that you mentioned Shohei Ohtani, because I do think that he, again, because of how loaded the Dodgers are, it gets a little overlooked in the conversation, not necessarily, as a player, because everybody knows Shohei Ohtani gets a lot of the coverage and a lot of the highlights, but the things that he does beyond hitting the baseball, when he gets on base, he's an absolute terror on the base paths. And he makes life difficult for pitchers out there, because you know that Shohei Ohtani could always steal a base at any moment. And if your back is to him, that has to be stressful. You add the pitch clock and everything else to this. Like, it really does make things very difficult. Shohei is a difference maker here. And like, I'm not counting out the Padres, which the Raven Kid drops in to say that. Do not count out the Padres. They are very well rounded. And while the Musgrove injury hurts, I think they have a more consistent pitching staff, even without Musgrove. And again, we'll see, because of the matchup is Dylan Cease going to be able to figure out this Dodgers lineup? He hasn't done it recently. So we'd have to see that out there. If he can't do that, this thing could get pretty ugly.
Just remember, the playoffs are about the bullpen. It's all about the bullpen. Can your guys come in and shut down teams? And the answer to the Dodgers, absolutely, they can. Padres, hit and miss. So we'll see. I mean, again, the nice thing about this series is these two teams hate each other. They legitimately hate each other. The fans hate each other. So you don't have that Dodger-Yankee rivalry anymore, because that was old school, because that was when they were Brooklyn and New York, and you had that true hate between those fans. Mm-hmm. It's kind of gone away, since it really hasn't been a big deal in the last 40 years. But there's a true hate between these two teams, almost like they hate the Dodgers after the Giants. It's close. So that's what makes this series fun. It's going to be a good series. Nobody's going to sweep this series. Both teams are going to win games. And I think it could go 5. It'd be fun to go 5. And I'd like to have game 5 at Dodger Stadium, which is where it would be. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I just think that when a team is that loaded, like they're that loaded for a reason. They threw money at a lot of talented players, but it wasn't random talented players. Who were good talented players who were seemingly capable of playing together on the same roster. And you haven't heard a whole lot of like ego issues and locker room issues, which is absolutely possible. Scratch Me Because says, I graduated from Saguaro High School in 1981. 3-time Super Bowl champion Dale Hellestrae was class of 1980. Oh, wow. 0-time Super Bowl champion comedian David Spade was class of 1982. Well, he's not a Super Bowl champion, but hey, that's that's really good. Scratch Me Because like that's you're. I don't know if you won, because there's a guy that I don't remember already who had Ronald Reagan and the guy that founded Walgreens come from his high school. And I don't know, Aiton's Army had like 6 people. that are playing across various professional sports right now. So, but you're in the conversation. You're in the conversation. CK says the glazing by Ralph is crazy. Ohtani is an empty calorie stat guy. Reminds me of Westbrook's triple-double season, which, by the way, just powered that team to a playoff. Just nothing special.
Empty calories. He's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. You're out of your mind. He is the best player in our generation. And if you can't see that, then you're just blind. You might as well go out with Mr. Wilbur somewhere because you have no idea what you're looking at.
Mr. Wilbur's sitting there going, "What did I do? What are you looking at me for?" Sorry. Let's see here. Against the spread says money can't buy championships, Ralph. The Yankees got one title in 20 years doing the same thing as LA is trying to do now. You forget the nervous expectation pucker factor.
The money can buy championships. Just ask the Diamondbacks. Money bought them that championship. And if any of you deny that, you're all a bunch of losers because they absolutely bought that championship.
I've never been opposed to team buying a championship. So I've never used that as an insult. To me, that's not a very good insult.
It's not.
If you don't put a salary cap in a sport, you cannot be surprised when a team with a lot of money decides to spend that money.
Right.
You just can't. But also, there are teams that have clearly bought championships. It can't always.
What are you all going to do when Ohtani's on the mound next year? We haven't even seen Ohtani yet, and it's been sick. He's just a sick player.
Yeah. I think, yeah. I totally forgot about that part.
Yeah.
The part where Shohei is going to come back and also pitch.
He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. I mean, come on.
God, it's going to be disgusting. CK says, I say that because if you take Ohtani off the roster, they still win the NL West. Yeah, but I think that's true for any one guy on this
roster. Year. I don't agree with that this year because of the injuries that they had this year. Without Ohtani, they don't win the NL West. Because
it got pretty close at multiple points in the year.
I don't think you understand the devastation of the starting rotation was any other team that has that kind of depth. I mean, 11 guys. There's just you don't bounce back from that. But having Ohtani, it made a difference. He is that much of a difference maker. He gets on base. When he's on first, you might as well put him on third because he's going to steal. And then he just has this way of getting scores and look at his stats. They're just sick.
Yeah. And you could say they're empty stats, but like who is the guy on this team that you couldn't take off and the Dodgers would still be good? Like if you remove Freddie Freeman, they're still good.
They're still good.
You remove Mookie Betts, they're still good.
They're still good, but they're hurting.
They're hurting, but they're also hurting if you remove Shohei too. If you take any one guy off, they are not the same team.
Yeah.
They are still really good though. Like I watched them this season and like I said, I don't have any feelings about the Dodgers either way. They're just loaded.
I mean, Shohei carried them for 2.5 months when Mookie Betts was out. So, I mean, the guy is not an empty stats guy. It's ridiculous.
I don't know that I agree with that. Bat Flipper says the best thing about the Dodgers season is laughing at their fans when they go home in the playoffs after being the 1 seed again.
Okay. I'll be honest with you. I don't know that the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. And if they had their pitchers healthy, this wouldn't even be a conversation. But that is a weakness. I'm going to say that because it's a fact. Not having those guys in that starting lineup is going to hurt them. There's no doubt about it. But if they can get 3 to 4 innings out of these starters, I'm confident that they'll be okay. But it's definitely their one weakness. They have one weakness, and that's it. So we'll see what happens. I mean, do they win it? They have a great chance of it. Vegas thinks they do. So we'll see. But that doesn't really mean much. But it's because they're just so loaded. They're just a loaded team. But that's their one weakness right now.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I don't know if people notice this, by the way, but Ralph has 2 hats that he wears. One hat is his troll hat. If you go at Ralph about his teams, he's going to come back at you with some trolling. But there's also objective Ralph, the other hat that Ralph wears, and objective Ralph is capable of actually admitting the weaknesses of his teams and complimenting teams that he does not like.
Yeah.
So I
don't like that, Ralph, but he's there.
Yeah. So I do think it's fair to say like the pitching just hasn't been up to the level that you'd like it to be, and yes, a lot of it is health. Big George says Ralph talking out of both sides of his what. Suns fans used injuries as an excuse for their shortfalls. Ralph lambasted Suns fans for using injuries as an excuse. Now Ralph uses that excuse for why the Dodgers aren't as good this year and won't win the World Series. Hypocrite.
No, I'm just stating fact. Could you imagine if they had Tyler Glasnow, in this rotation? You keep forgetting he's gone, right? That's a big loss. Yeah, Yamamoto's been out most of the year. We'll see how he is, right? Flaherty's been good. But imagine if you had some of those arms that were down, that were back up. I mean, you just don't understand what that means in a playoff series. Next year, God willing, they all stay healthy. You're looking at a rotation of Ohtani, Glasnow, Yamamoto, and Flaherty as your top four. That's not counting.
That's filthy.
I mean, that's just not counting River Ryan, Gavin Stone, all these other young guys that have been ridiculous. Not to mention Kershaw's been hurt, and Kershaw's at the end of his career. He needs to retire probably. But Dustin May never came back this year because he's been hurt. Gatterall's been. I mean, come on, man. You bring these arms back healthy next year, they might win 141 games. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So, yeah, it's a weakness this year. We'll see what happens. But even George, with all those injuries, they're still better than your Padres, and they still have the best record in baseball. That's got to say something.
Yeah, you can say that Ralph's talking out of both sides of his mouth, but Ralph is saying that they're beating the Padres. He is telling you that that's not going to be the excuse for this series.
No, there's no excuses. You either win or to lose it.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, if that means anything, Big George. The Moist one says, "Don't worry, you'll have Max Fried next year, but that won't guarantee anything."
I don't know that they'll have Max Fried next year. I don't know that I want Max Fried.
He's a little roller coaster, you know?
Yeah, he is. And there's that guy from Japan that's coming over. I think they're going to go after that guy. He's another heck of a pitcher. So we'll see. I'm not Max Fried. I don't see it.
Yeah, like the Dodgers just trying to get all the Japanese all-stars onto
it's going to become the Japanese team from the United. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean,
yeah,
they got some great talent over there.
They really do. I don't watch a ton of Japanese baseball, but every time I've seen it, you just go, damn, like,
yeah,
half of the guys I'm watching on my screen could start for my team and probably improve it by 20 or 30 wins.
Yeah, there's some definite talent over there.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll tell you what, I wish they had Trevor Bauer right now, but we all know that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There are a lot of teams that probably wish that they could.
If the Diamondbacks would have got Trevor Bauer, they'd be in the playoffs right now. But anyway,
that's how being blackballed works.
Yep.
It's a collusion effort. So yeah, everybody has to agree and be on the same page. No matter what, we're not signing this guy. I assure you, there's at least one owner that goes, "Damn, I really wish we didn't agree to that."
Yeah,
I really wish we had the chance to bring that dude back.
And that owner's in Arizona.
He's one of them. I mean, I think there's a few, but he's certainly one of them. Big George says, "Ralph, you know why all these teams have a lot of pitching injuries? It's the stupid pitch clock. Injuries are up all across the board, and pitching staffs." And yeah, before you started, before you jumped on, Big George, I think you popped in near hour 2. We were talking about that at the top of the show. I mean, it's insane.
They need to fix that, Big George, because all these guys, it's ridiculous the amount of injuries we're seeing this year. It's not a good thing to be a pitcher right now with this pitch clock. They've got to change that rule. These guys are going to keep going down. It's ridiculous.
It's the perfect bad storm of the way these guys are coached to pitch. So just throw it as hard as you can. And now you don't have a whole lot of time to recover between pitches, and your, whatever your method is, your technique for making sure that you do this properly is even shorter now than it used to be. And yeah, it's made the games faster. Congratulations. We have less talented players playing.
And as much as I can't stand the Padres, I really feel for Musgrove. I mean, that's a horrible thing that happened to him. It's a shame.
Yeah. And the timing of it too. Like I said, if it happened at the beginning of the season or even the middle of the season, you're like, okay, I could accept what's happening here. But the Padres felt like they had a real chance to win a World Series, and he has to feel terrible that he's not able to help them, and be out there. Even if those guys go on a run and play well, like, it still feels bad to have your guys kind of go on without you. And that sucks. It really does. And he's such a good player, that for me, when I watch baseball, like, those are the kinds of players you want to see. And for a matchup like Padres and Dodgers, I was really looking forward to watching him go head to head against some of those Dodger pitchers. And I guess we're not really going to get a chance to see how that's going to play out.
Yep.
The Moist one says, Roki Sasaki is a Mariner. So he's talking about a Japanese player. I don't know if
there's more than one. There's more than one really good pitcher out there. There's one that's 31 years old that's probably going to come over next year who's a really good pitcher as well.
Yeah, which is so crazy because, like, I understand that scouts are already stretched all over the place, but man, how does a guy get to be 31 years old and he's still not here? You know what I mean?
And he's really good.
And maybe he didn't want to leave before, but I think if you're willing to get here at 31, you would have come here at 21.
Yeah,
I think that's true. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. Bat Flipper says, Keon always says, if you keep apologizing, you don't really mean it. Go Niners. And that's not what I said. I said, if you apologize and do the thing that you're apologizing for in the apology, you don't mean it. I think that's fair. Because if someone did that to me, I think apology not accepted. Keep it. Shove it where the sun don't shine. Like wow. I don't. If you're gonna apologize to me, be actually sorry. Which means if I apologize, and Bat Flipper, this is not directed at you, but if I apologize for calling you some name, I won't say the name because I don't want you to think I'm calling you anything. And then I call you that name in the apology. That is not an apology. That is not an apology that matters. I don't care what your level of sincerity is. You've screwed up the apology. That's all. So, speaking of apologies, I'm sorry that I'm running late for a break because this is the break, and I don't know, who wanted the tickets before, but this would be your time to come back to the radio. Caller number 4 is going to get these ASU tickets. And that's just the way that's going to be. And I'll be doing a little Bugs Bunny baseball stuff here. And I will be telling you this and then also answering the phone after we go to break. I guess I'll see you during the break if you make it.
I'm calling.
No, Ralph is actually called. Ralph, hang on. Come on. Ralph, no, you can't win the tickets on behalf of a listener.
I'm whistling gerbil. When you ask me who I am, I'm whistling gerbil.
You're not whistling gerbil, and I'll know who it is because I know your voice. I'm talking to you right now, Ralph.
Hello?
I'm not giving you the tickets.
Hello?
You'll change your voice. All right, whatever. You're listening to the Daily Blender here on 1580 The Fanatic.
This is Brent Musburger's Action Update on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Get insights into the sports betting market with VSiN's betting splits. See where the money is and keep updated on how the market is reacting. Only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
NFL Sunday, an international game as the New York Jets and the Minnesota Vikings play at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. The Jets sitting at 2-2, while the Vikings are unbeaten at 4-0, and they're a 2.5-point favorite, minus 140 on the money line. The Jets at plus 120, the over-under at 40.5. Sunday night, one of the best rivalries in the NFL is the Pittsburgh Steelers host the Dallas Cowboys. Pittsburgh at 3-1. They're a 2.5-point home favorite, minus 140 on the money line. Dallas at 2-2, plus 120. Over under 43.5. I'm Tony Desiri with your VSiN Action Update on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
After 3 years of legalized sports betting, something completely new is now live in Arizona. Dylan Cohen from Beat the Book here, and I'd like to introduce you to SportTrade. SportTrade is the first sports betting app that gives you the option to see the odds expressed as probabilities, and it's going to change in-game betting forever. If it's easier to understand 52% probability of winning versus minus 108 odds, SportTrade is your new home. With this percent odds feature, cashing out now makes much more sense. As the win probability changes, so does the value of your bet. Even if you're an experienced bettor and you prefer American odds, you'll love seeing odds closer to minus 106 versus the normal minus 110 offered just about everywhere else, coupled with near instant in-play betting. No more spinny wheels. Download SportTrade on your iPhone today to see the difference and beat the book. Use promo code 1580 to earn 10% cash back on every bet you place in your first week. Terms apply.
SportTrade is regulated by the Arizona Department of Gaming. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
Hear that? It's the gentle sound of a waterfall on your hike. And if you were here, you'd take a deep breath of fresh air if you weren't so winded. But you're not here because your self-care happens out on the road, riding your motorcycle protected by Progressive. And the bugs you wipe from your headlights are all the nature you need. So if you ride, see if you could save with Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Get an online quote in as little as 3 minutes, all from the great indoors. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
It's fall football season, and Kasai Japanese Steakhouse is doubling down. Now at 2 Valley locations. When it comes to Asian cuisine, no one does it better and more authentic than Kasai, where talented Teppan chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse isn't just dinner, it's dinnertainment. A memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is prepared right at your table with flair. It's a perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always on fire and offered daily with specials on their Asian-inspired comfort food like Korean steak tacos, Mongolian barbecue ribs, and signature Wagyu beef sliders. Always a memorable dinner, or catch the game and a bite at the bar at Kasai. Now at 2 locations, Scottsdale Road in Thunderbird and in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppan.com. That's Kasai Teppan.com, or search Kasai on your mobile phone.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here, host of You Better You Bet, reminding you to check out the show. Now, why should you check out You Better You Bet? Because we bring you the most fun. We bring you the most insightful, the most entertaining show in the wagertainment world. From up-to-the-minute breakdowns of backdoor covers, bad beats, and the cheers and tears that come alongside them. Plus, you'll get the best betting analysis anywhere from myself, Ken Barkley, and some of the best minds in the sports wagering world. So tune in weekdays, noon to 3 on Arizona Sports Betting Station, 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic.
And we're back, and we have a winner, and that would be Matt texting in to the show, or calling into the show. He hasn't texted before. So he doesn't have a text or nickname, and I'm not going to put his last name out there. I'm not going to dox the guy. So I appreciate him listening. He's been listening for a couple of months, and that's really awesome. I hope you enjoy the game versus Kansas. I think it's going to be really fun, and we've had complaints about the heat, but that's just you're here. You know what it's like. And look, the seats are really good. They're close to the field, and you get to be in the shade, which in that stadium is probably the most important thing.
Matt, I'll meet you at the East Gate.
Yeah. Ralph wants 2 of your tickets, Matt. You don't have to give them to him at all.
I know who you are.
In fact, you could go in through a different gate now that you know he's going to be at the East Gate. You could go in through the other gate. And that way, I don't think Ralph knows who you are either.
I know who you are, man.
How would that be possible? Big George says Joe Musgrove is also Mr. San Diego. He grew up in San Diego, goes every morning to his parents' coffee shop in Alpine and gives back to the community. It's a real shame.
Yeah.
It's worse when the guy's actually a good guy.
That makes it worse.
Yeah. It's just, you're a good player. That's already sad. You're a good person. It's like it couldn't have happened to a worse person than this guy that's just clearly he's in the area. They love him. He's got to be a fan favorite, not just as the dominant pitcher that he is, but anytime you get a guy that good that grew up around there and then is also able to go on and do great things professionally in the same area, that carries a lot. And boy, that really sucks. CK jumping in to say, you should limit the winners to texters. Screw you, Matt. I'm kidding.
Wow.
Congratulations. So CK is kidding. Just a little bit of jealousy. I don't remember who that was. Whoever was caller number 2. when I picked up the phone and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, you're caller number 2," they were like, "You're killing me, Smalls," and then hung up. That was cool. I had a little chuckle there. The moist one says, "I can tell you who doesn't want Trevor Bauer. The Dodgers clubhouse." I mean,
I guarantee you that if he wouldn't have been blackballed, the Dodgers would have brought him back this year. With the injuries that they had, they would have brought him back.
They would have brought him back. Yeah, like, look, this is just what happens when the bunch of owners get together and say, "We're not bringing back this guy." There's no way to prove it. They don't have to write it down. It's not something they just all have to agree. This guy makes us look bad, or reminds us that we look bad, or criticizes us too much, or whatever the reason is, and then you're out the door. Yeah. CK says I was number 2. Yeah, CK, sorry, dude. Yeah, I felt bad. I always feel bad when I have to tell somebody, yeah, I know you were on hold just now. You lost. It's just random chance. There's no skill to getting that call in my opinion. Maybe there is. Like there are some people who manage to win more frequently than you think. But so maybe there is kind of a skill to it, but I could never figure out what that was. And
So as a result, having grown up listening to a lot of radio, I managed to win absolutely nothing over the course of my life.
There's still 1,500 tickets left for that game tomorrow, so go buy one.
Yeah, and I think you should, by the way, because you've got an ASU team that, look, they're still growing the program, but they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
I like Kenny Dillingham a lot.
I do too.
And he's already got them out of the place they were projected to be. The Big 12 media days picked ASU to finish last in the Big 12, which felt a little disrespectful, but at the same time, like, they didn't show anything last year that would suggest that they'd be better than that. But I also just have seen college football programs get built before, and it's really cool stuff when you see a guy come in and he's already got his head screwed on straight. He puts together a really good staff, which is what Dillingham did. And then not only do you put together a really good staff, you go out, you start recruiting, hitting the recruiting trails. He started saying things that I like to hear from a coach, which is, hey, we're not going to let talented Arizona kids leave Arizona. In the past, you had Bijan Robinson. He played in Tucson. Where did he go to school? Texas. Like, you can't have stuff like that if you want to be an elite college football program that competes for national titles, or at least what's now important, competing for a playoff spot. You've got to keep the kids in your state and going to your school. And then you've got to be able to reach outside of the state and get, players that were in, I mean, it's just I really like the way the guys put the program together. He's very sharp. He's incredibly smart. He's a flexible coach too. He's not the kind of guy that shows up and he's got his system. So no one else, if you can't fit in the system, well, too bad for you. No, he's flexible. He's trying to figure out, how do I take what you're good at, what we can do better, and make that work on the football field, which is why, even though I know for a point of fact, Kenny Dillingham would love to throw the football more, they're running the ball a lot because that's what's there. That's what's on the roster. So you use that. He's pretty sharp. I like the direction ASU is headed in. I don't know when they're going to kind of hit that peak and reach that level or hit that gear, but when they do, it's going to be pretty fun watching ASU football. And I can't wait to see what he builds here and what it develops into.
Are you doing the dance party right now? You're going to do it?
I could do a little dance party.
You should do a little dance party.
I'm not going to do any music because I just don't have any.
Nah.
And
There's some games, man.
But every time Randy rolls around, it's like, oh man, and Randy missed Randy the last couple of Fridays, and you could hear the difference in the college football dance party. And that is the biggest compliment as I could pay to Randy White, because it sounds significantly worse. So we'll go for it. I'll skip the UNLV Syracuse, since against the spread gave us a little bit on that, and go to Missouri and Texas A&M, because this game is really fascinating to me, in large part because I don't know how good Missouri is. I think Missouri is a good football team, but I don't know if they're ready for that experience of going into College Station and winning at Kyle Field. I think that Missouri's done an awful lot to grow that program from where they were with, your coach, Eli Drinkwitz. He shows up, and he might be the first football coach at Missouri in a very long time to go into that athletic department and say, hey, I need X, Y, and Z financially. If I don't have that, we can't do anything. And the university actually listened and got him the talent and the weapons that he needs. I'm a big fan of Brady Cook, the quarterback, and I think that he's been solid. But is Brady Cook ready to take his game to another level, to go play Texas A&M and these Aggies who are, kind of disappointed in the way their season is going? They are 4-1, but that early loss to Notre Dame, which, to turn around and see them lose to Northern Illinois, that just had to hurt them to start the year. But they've bounced back since then, and they've won every single game. I'll take my Aggie hatred and put it to the side here and say I think that this could be an upset.
Wow.
I'm taking the Aggies on this. I just think that's a tough place to play. That's a 2.5 point spread, and I just think that Texas A&M, they're big, they're physical, and when I look at the things that stand out about college football programs, to me, that's kind of it. Like, you're just looking at this sheer physicality of a team. I think the Texas A&M is a better football team than they are being given credit for. I'm going to have to wash my mouth after this because I had to say a bunch of nice things about a bunch of Aggies. If I jump around and look at the Georgia-Auburn game, I will go ahead and just drop this and say, I'm not saying that Georgia is going to lose to Auburn, because that's not going to happen. But could Auburn make this thing interesting
and make it a better game than it looks like on paper? I think so. Auburn is 2-3 right now, and I think it's very easy to look at the Auburn Tigers and kind of write them off. Hugh Freeze has gotten there, and things have not gone the way that he'd like for that program. You know, they've had a couple of big wins against kind of scrub schools, but then they played Oklahoma and they played Arkansas, and those were tough football games. And they came out on the other side, you know, just the losers. Some bounces go different ways, and I think that the Auburn Tigers are maybe, you know, 3-2, 4-1, like that is actually possible. So I don't want to sit there and write off a team like this, especially when you look at the kinds of players that they recruited, the athletic profile of a team like that. Man, Auburn has the potential here to make this game interesting. But
is it at Auburn?
It's I believe the game is in Athens, Georgia.
Okay.
Which is another reason why they're not going to win it.
Yeah.
The line on this is 22.5. I think it's possible for Auburn to cover that, but we just haven't seen the talent really show up on the field in the form of victories. And that's really the tough game there. Another game where I just don't think that there's an upset happening, but could be more interesting than it looks on paper. Ohio State hosting the Iowa Hawkeyes. The Hawkeyes 3-1, playing much better football this year. And to be quite honest, playing much better offensive football this year. Like this is an Iowa team that's finally fixed a lot of the offensive issues where they just couldn't move the football for just the longest stretch of time. They absolutely could not move the football. You'd see some Iowa games where, you know, the game was 3-0 and Iowa wins. You know, they had a game, I think, with South Dakota State like 3 years ago that set the game of football back 100 years because the game ended 5-3.
Oh my gosh.
Or 5-2 rather, and there were 2 safeties in the game. Like it was one of the most horrible things I've ever watched, and it was a car crash I couldn't look away from. But to get back on subject and to get back to these Iowa Hawkeyes, I do think that, you know, they've got a dominant defense. That's legit. Like that's a real defense, and I do think that when you look at Ohio State, I'll be honest, like a lot of people have not been watching Ohio State. I haven't really been watching Ohio State. So you see the names out there and you see the scores and they kind of check all the boxes. But like, who has Ohio State actually played up until this point? Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall, Michigan State.
True.
Like
true.
They just haven't played anybody
Yeah.
good. So this is a real test for Ohio State and to see what they are. I think Ohio State is real. Relax. I'm not saying that they're a team that's a fraud or whatever, but this is the actual first test that they have approached on their schedule, and we'll see if they're able to ace it, because this game has the potential to be the game where Ohio State doesn't lose, but some defensive coordinator somewhere learns something about how to slow down Ohio State, or some defensive coordinator or some offensive coordinator learns something about how to move the ball in Ohio State at some bigger, more talented school than even Iowa. And at that point, I think that's the thing that if you're Ryan Day in Ohio State, you don't want to see. But Ohio State's winning this game. I think that's pretty clear. We're not even going to bother with Alabama and Vanderbilt. That's unnecessary. That's silly. Clemson and Florida State. Also one that doesn't feel like it's worth talking about because Clemson, Florida State's terrible.
Yeah,
Florida State is another one of those teams. They're like a worse Auburn, where Auburn has not had the talent show up on the field, but the talent is clearly there. They recruited a bunch of 5-star, 4-star guys. Where are they? Florida State is somehow worse, despite having, I think, more players of that caliber. They went out and loaded up on talent, and then it just has not shown up on the football field. And I don't know what to make of that at all. I like, they don't even look like the football team that on paper they're supposed to be. And I understand you don't play the games on paper, but you typically don't look that bad either when you play in real life. Something is broken at that university. And I think Mike Norvell, if he doesn't get something together soon, is going to pay the price. So we're not going to touch the Clemson Florida State game. I know Clemson's been bad on the road, but they haven't been that bad on the road. Tennessee and Arkansas is a very interesting game, because I just think it would be very trap game for Tennessee to come off of a bye week, roll into Arkansas, where your coach, Sam Pittman's a little desperate right now.
You know, his team is 3-2. You know, Arkansas boosters, Arkansas fans kind of expected a little bit more from this team, and they just haven't really shown it. And Tennessee is going up against an Arkansas team that's physical. Sam Pittman, the head coach at Arkansas, he's a trenches guy. That's the kind of player he recruits. That's the kind of player he focuses his entire team around. Is let's battle in the trenches. Let's make this thing ugly if we can somehow manage to do it. And I think that there's a potential for this game to maybe be a trap game for Tennessee. I'm still going to take the Volunteers because it's a tough team to pick against right now. Tennessee, I think, is clearly the fourth best team in the country and in the SEC. And I think they're just too good. They're just that offensive scheme is a lot.
They've lost their last 3 trips to Arkansas.
They have,
that's interesting.
It is, and I wonder if having a new quarterback and an offense that's a little bit crazy, if that's going to change their fortunes against Arkansas. Because I know Tennessee fans. I lived in Chattanooga for about 10 years. I was 1 hour away from Knoxville. I know Tennessee fans, and I know that they're not even looking at this game. They're looking at Florida the next week. They're looking at Alabama the week after, because they always do that. Third Saturday in October is always Alabama week. Don't do that. I'm just saying right now, don't do that. That's a bad idea. And Sam Pittman's a real good football coach. I also think that, like, I'm a little concerned about Arkansas's offense. You talked about Sam Pittman. Sam Pittman was talking to the media, and one of the things he was saying to the media was, we just don't have the confidence on offense that we want. And if you're going to play against Tennessee and you're going to beat them, it's probably going to be a track meet. You're going to have to be able to put up points. If you're not confident in your offense, I don't know that I am confident in you. CK says we all look forward to Keon's college football. No, not that kind of party. Not that kind of party. See, I should have pre-read that, CK. We know we never. First off, I don't host parties like that. Okay, I don't have 100,000 boxes of baby oil. That's not. I just said no, sir. We're not putting that on me. You take that evil and you keep it to yourself. Navy Devil says Iowa football equals falling asleep on the couch. That used to be that game. I used to watch college football and watch the Iowa game come on and just lean back, because I knew I wasn't going to miss anything. I wake up in the fourth quarter, going to be 3-3. Iowa's got the ball. Maybe they'll kick a field goal. Maybe they'll miss it. We'll have a quick little overtime where nothing happens. That was Nap Central. Iowa football was Nap Central. I don't think it's going to be Nap Central this season, though. They seem to have put things where they're supposed to go as far as their offense is concerned. All right, last game that we're going to take a look at here, because we're already running late for a break. South Carolina and Ole Miss. Ole Miss, not exactly who we thought they were, because they came off of that very, very bad loss against Kentucky. And now they're going to South Carolina. And look, South Carolina, that's not a slouch team. I mean, with Ole Miss, you looked at the schedule and you're like, man, I don't know exactly what this team is, but I assume they're really good. But this is another one of those teams where maybe we should have known better, because you look at the schedule and they played Furman and MTSU and Wake Forest and Georgia Southern, and just beat those teams down, and then played Kentucky, your first real challenge in the SEC, and Kentucky beats you 20-17, in your own house, mind you. That's not a great sign. So this has got to be a big bounce back game for Ole Miss, and we'll see what they're made of, because, South Carolina 3-1, they've played a lot of tough competition, and South Carolina has that balance that really, I think, is hard for Ole Miss to deal with. They don't really have a tendency towards passing or running the football. They tend to do both pretty evenly, and they're averaging about 370 yards a game. So if Ole Miss shows up and has the offensive performance that they did a week ago when they lost to Kentucky, which, to be fair to Kentucky, that's a really good defense that they've got with Mark Stoops over there. But if they have another offensive performance like that, yikes. This is going to be a team that went from, hey, we might be the 5th best team in the SEC to we're not even in this conversation anymore. Oh. I'm taking Ole Miss to get this one, get right, but I don't feel confident about it. I don't feel great about it. South Carolina stopped the line on this game, by the way, 9 points. South Carolina could cover that. Like that's another defense that could really pose some challenges for Ole Miss, really push them around. And that is Keon Rose's college football dance party, minus the dancing and the music, but hopefully the fun. I want you to take that back, CK. I want you to take that back. Those are not the kind of parties we do around here. This is the Daily Blender on 1580 The Fanatic.
After 3 years of legalized sports betting, something completely new is now live in Arizona. Dylan Cohen from Beat the Book here, and I'd like to introduce you to SportTrade. SportTrade is the first sports betting app that gives you the option to see the odds expressed as probabilities, and it's going to change in-game betting forever. If it's easier to understand 52% probability of winning versus minus 108 odds, SportTrade is your new home. With this percent odds feature, cashing out now makes much more sense. As the win probability changes, so does the value of your bet. Even if you're an experienced bettor and you prefer American odds, you'll love seeing odds closer to minus 106 versus the normal minus 110 offered just about everywhere else, coupled with near instant in-play betting. No more spinny wheels. Download SportTrade on your iPhone today to see the difference and beat the book. Use promo code 1580 to earn 10% cash back on every bet you place in your first week. Terms apply.
SportTrade is regulated by the Arizona Department of Gaming. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
4 years. That's how long it took Democrats to ruin our economy and plunge our southern border into anarchy. Who helped them hurt us? Ruben Gallego. Washington could have cut taxes for Arizona families, but Ruben blocked the bill. And his fellow Democrats gave a bigger break to the millionaire class in California and New York. They played favorites and cost us billions. And Ruben wasn't done yet. Democrats could have secured the border. Instead, they invited an invasion and used our tax dollars to pay for it. Ruben Gallego even backed a law to let them vote in our elections. Don't give Gallego and the Democrats another 4 years to hurt us. Give your support to a real Arizona leader, Kari Lake. Kari and the Republicans will secure the border, support our families, and never turn their backs on us. Kari Lake for Senate.
I'm Kari Lake, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Kari Lake for Senate and the NRSC.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first time Nana moments.
And welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or diabetes, you're at higher risk of being hospitalized from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in the zone, Auto.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, Auto.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
It's the sound of the fight songs, the excitement of the rivalries. It's the unbelievable upsets. It's the Heisman hopefuls. It's the national rankings. College football is coming. Listen for it on 1580 and 99.3, The Fanatic.
And we're back with a couple of texts on the text line. The chosen one says, "Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby." Better not. Better not. Okay, it's just as true right now as it was in Talladega. It as true. Lost Toby says, "Worst Friday show ever." Just kidding.
Wow.
Just kidding.
Wow.
You're all right, Keon. I was about to say, you hurt my feelings. Wow. I was about to shed a single manly tear. That's how dare you? No, I appreciate you listening, man. We're just having fun over here. Man, we had a really, really long string of texts about the most famous people from various high schools.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was.
So I want to jump back to something that we started. But we did not actually finish. We started talking about the Major League Baseball playoffs, and that's what actually
started the high school conversation. That was segment 2 of hour 1. It is now segment 3 of hour 3. But I do kind of want to get back to baseball a little bit because these are the 2 series I was kind of saving for the end, and we did discuss it a little bit, kind of on and off through trash talk. And I kind of want to get objective, Ralph, locked into this. So
Okay.
Let's get to the first matchup, which is me and Fish Tank's worst nightmare: Mets and Phillies. Oh, it just hurt to say out loud. But it is going to be a really good series. Like, these are two teams that are very familiar with each other. And anytime you get a series like that, and the fact that we have 2 of them in the National League, where you've got Padres and Dodgers going at each other, and you've got Mets and Phillies, to me, those are some of the most interesting playoff matchups. But do you think the Mets have like a real chance at taking out these Phillies? Because, man, the way the Phillies are pitching right now, I don't know.
I mean, with Zach Wheeler, I mean, he's been, his last 11 starts, he's got a 1.89 ERA. They're going to be hard on him with Aaron Nola and Christopher Sanchez. I mean, that's going to be a big, tough 3 rotation. That bullpen they're a bit taxed, but they should be okay against a team that. But not to mention their offense. The Phillies' offense is legit, right? I mean, that's just a great offense. A lot of firepower there against a team that really. Well, I mean, they have Pete Alonso. That's actually, on a little bit of a roll right now. Francisco Lindor, who's got some momentum going his way. But they're going to need to keep that luck that they just had, in my opinion, going, that momentum they just had going from the previous series, to even have a shot. They shouldn't have a shot on paper. I mean, they should probably get swept out of this series. But I like Mr. Momentum. You just never know what he can do. So I think they can make it a good series, maybe push it to 4 or 5, but ultimately the Phillies should win this. They're just too much there. And I know you don't want to hear that, but
I mean, either thing was going to be hard to hear. If you somehow said, hey, the Mets are a lot, I think Pete Alonso, that wasn't like a one-off. He's going to continue to play like that. That would have still hurt my feelings to hear. There's no winning for me in this particular scenario. I gotta say this is my nightmare. I'm picking the Mets just because I hate them slightly less
than the Phillies.
Yeah, and that's more of a Bryce Harper thing, which I don't even hate Bryce. Like, I don't have anything against the guy. It's just, he went to go try and chase a ring, and there was a ring right where he was.
There's a lot of people that'll sit there and say, I want, especially Dodger fans or Padre fans, I want to see the Mets win because I want the Phillies out of the way. But if the Mets win, that means that momentum's still going. You don't want to face that Met team.
Yeah, like
right?
you already ran into the hot team that beat the Brewers last year and then ran into you. Don't do that again. Just go ahead and take whoever deserves to be there. I feel like that's going to probably be less nightmarish for the Dodgers.
Be careful what you ask for.
Right. CK says, Keon, you should really consider the instrumental to Bad Boys for Life as your dance party music. I'd have to think about that. I'd have to think about that. I do like that song. So let's get to the Dodgers, because we were talking about all of the Dodger Yankee matchup that's potentially possible to see, and how much the Dodgers and the Padres hate each other. And to be clear, hate is my favorite sports emotion. I like the positive ones too. I like, there's some pride in your team and your teammates and yourself and the hard work that you put in and the love of the game. But when you hate another team, there's nothing more interesting on TV than that. And this is, regardless of, how long this series goes, I will be locked in watching the Dodgers and the Padres. So just take your Dodger fan hat off for a second and just be objective, Ralph, for a moment, and tell me what you think about this series. Cause I think the Dodgers are so stacked. It's a little tough to give the Padres the nod, but I do understand what a lot of people on the text line are saying about not counting out the Padres.
No, and I don't think you can count them out. But to your point, I mean, we talked about it earlier. When you look at the Dodger lineup, top to bottom, they're just stacked. There's no weak point in the lineup, and that's just pitching is about the types of pitching. Are these hard innings? Are these taxing innings? Or are you having easy innings? It's hard to have those easy innings, those low intensity innings against a lineup like this, and that's what makes them a tough team to play. So you have to look at that, right? I mean, come on, Betts, Freeman, Ohtani. I can keep going. It just makes it hard. The Dodgers are going to have to take the three guys that they have. So Yamamoto, Flaherty, and probably Bueller. Landon Knack will be the fourth guy. And Bueller's been pitching really good all of a sudden after that injury. He's finally starting to get his groove back. So you get a healthy, good Bueller with Flaherty and Yamamoto. That's still a pretty tough three. Again, you can get 4 or 5 innings out of those guys. You're going into the best bullpen in the game. That makes them really tough to beat in a series like this. Now, Tatis has been good this year, really good. I like him a lot. I hate Manny Machado, so even if he's good, I'm not going to say he is.
It's hard to admit he's kind of a jackass.
I am a Jackson Merrill fan only because we have a connection to him and his agent and everything else. I really like that kid. That kid's going to make a lot of money next year. I think he's the rookie of the year, and he's been making a difference. Even in the playoffs, he's made a difference. So that makes the Padres better. It's going to come down to pitching, right? I mean, Dylan Cease, the Dodgers have just been they have his number. Yu Darvish, he's either really good against the Dodgers or he's really bad against the Dodgers. So it's going to depend on which one you get. King has been decent against the Dodgers. We'll see how he does. I think this comes down to who's got the better bullpen and who can get the timely hitting. And I'm going to trust the Dodgers bats over the Padres. The Padres have a lot of good bats in their lineup, but they don't, not the level of the Dodgers. So you got to take the Dodgers in this series. I think it goes 4 games and the Dodgers win this series.
Yeah, I that's where I'm leaning to. I want to say things that the Diamondback fans want to hear, but I don't think they're beating the Padres. I just don't.
And don't take away from the word redemption. The Dodgers are pissed off about what happened 2 years ago. Don't think they're not thinking about that in this series. They want to take it to the Padres. You saw it last week when they played. You're going to see it again starting tomorrow.
Well, that's going to be a fun weekend of sports, and it's going to start with a fun weekend of baseball. But Saturday, that's an all-day baseball kind of day. I got to figure out how I'm watching all the baseball and college football. I don't know what to do there. And then Sunday, you've got a lot of NFL. And guess what? More baseball. So loaded weekend. Hope you have fun. Enjoy it, everybody. And we'll see you on Monday here on 1580 The Fanatic.
The Fanatic is your home